Assalamu alaikum everyone. How are you guys? Okay, इधर तो काफ़ी रौनक है माशाल्लाह. कितनी लंबी होगी stream? 2.5 hours, 3 hours tops. I have another stream at 7:30 anyway, so obviously can't be longer than that. Not good. War tomorrow. कल तो आपकी अपनी जंग है मैथ के साथ. So, sir, very scared. So what would you do in ASP1 stream? We're doing a run through of the syllabus. We're just going to be reviewing all the concepts. That's what we're doing. What are we going to do today? What do you think? Reading the title. We're doing a run through of the syllabus. Sir, so scared. That's okay. It's okay to be scared at this point. My mic volume is low. Really? Is that the case? Your prediction for paper? I think the paper is going to be 2 hours long. I think the paper will be out of 100 marks. I think the paper will be from the syllabus. What else? Relative frequency. Relative frequency में क्या मुश्किल है यार? सर आज पेपर्स अनमॉक करें? नहीं, आज आपने कुछ नहीं करना. I've also reluctantly kept this stream because a lot of you were reaching out. I'm not too happy about doing something a day before the exam, but what I did was I kept it early. So I kept it at 4:30 so you guys can wind things. Well, actually, I wanted to start at 4, but I wanted to do a run through of the past paper so that you guys are well prepared for tomorrow. So yeah, here we are. Achha, let's start. Now, I'm not going to be teaching a specific topic because any topic that you want to learn, you can watch a video on it. It's pretty simple as that. Okay? I'm not going to teach you a certain topic. Sir Zain is saying not to touch earlies. Yeah, he's absolutely right. Don't put yourself in any testing position today. Okay? Don't put yourself in any testing position today. Hum kya kar rahe hain? We're just going to go over some past papers. Okay? We're just going to do a run through of the past papers and that's about it. Okay? So let's start. Acha, I would appreciate if you guys like the stream if you haven't done that yet, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet. Okay? Acha, ab rona dona band karen. We're only going to do what we are planning to do. Any topic that you want to learn, any topic that you want to practice, you can do that by watching a stream on it. Simple as that. Okay? So here we are. Let's start. So let's start from May-June 2020, paper 11. Okay, so this is basically from the year during COVID, and this paper got cancelled, so we don't have a threshold of it. We don't basically have the examiner report of it. Okay, so let's see what this says. Right, 23 upon 5 is a mixed number. Pretty simple. You will divide 23 by 5. The answer will be quotient. Remainder over divides. So there is no link to PDF. These are just yearly past papers that I'm solving, so there is no link to it. Okay. Achha, work out 3 upon 8 divided by 6. So what do? If you change it from division to multiplication, that's simple. 3 upon 8 into 1 upon 6. Pretty straightforward. Okay, from the word above, write down all the letters that have line symmetry. Line symmetry basically means letters that have a line of symmetry. So there's the letter H, which has a line of symmetry. It has 2 lines of symmetry. There's letter A, which has line of symmetry. N, however, does not have a line of symmetry. Keep that in mind. E has 1 line of symmetry, and R also does not have a line of symmetry. Okay, so how many letters have line symmetry? Letter H and letter A. Okay, N की कोई symmetry नहीं होती, so just keep that in mind. अच्छा, फिर all the letters that have rotational symmetry. So letters that have rotational symmetry is H, because if you rotate H, E also. If you rotate H, you will get the same shape twice in a full 360-degree rotation. Same goes for N. N also has rotational symmetry, and that's it. No other letter has rotational symmetry. Okay? Now, the numbers in this sequence increase by the same amount each time. Fill in the missing number. So just find the difference. The difference here is basically 0.9. The difference over here is also 0.9, so you can fill up the remaining numbers. There you go. Simple as that. Yeah. Okay, 11 upon 25 is a percentage, multiplied by 100, 12% of 40, 12 upon 100 into 40. Okay. The diagram shows an isosceles triangle. ABC is an equilateral triangle. Isosceles triangle ABC and equilateral triangle BDE. Okay. D is the intersection of AB and CE. All right. Angle BAC is equals to 28 degrees. Calculate the value of X. Okay. So how will you work this out? So remember, this is an isosceles triangle. So that means this angle will be equal to what? This angle will also be equal to 28 degrees. Acha. Also, don't forget that you are given the fact that the triangle DBE is a equilateral triangle. So that means this will be 60, this will be 60, this will also be 60. Acha, how does this help? This helps you calculate this angle, which will be equal to 180 minus 60, and then you can work it out. Simple as that. Okay. Okay, why so fast? Beta, we have to do a run through of all the papers. So obviously, I'm going to do it fast. ठीक है, अभी अगर मैं इतनी कल पेपर है ना आपका, तो that's what run through means. Okay, now. Safura is buying some apples, bananas, and peaches. She can buy pack of 6 apples, pack of 5 bananas, pack of 12 peaches. She needs to buy the same number of each fruit. Calculate the smallest number of packets. So basically, this is a fancy way of asking LCM. If she wants to buy the same number of each fruit, that means she is looking for a number that's a multiple of 6, a number that's also a multiple of 5, and a number that's also a multiple of 12. Okay, so take the LCM. When you take the LCM, I think the answer will turn out to be 60. 60 is the correct answer. Let's see, 6, 5, and 12. So अगर मैं इनकी LCM निकालूंगा, we'll start with the smallest number. That's 2. 2 times 3, 2 times 6, then 2 again. So 3 as it is, 5 as it is, 3, and then 3. So 1, 5, 1, and then 5. So 5 times 3, 15. 15 times 2, 30. So 60. So that means she wants 60. She's going to buy 60 of each fruit. Now, if one pack has 6 apples, that means it's going to be 60 upon 6. That's equal to 10. If one pack of bananas has 5 bananas, so that means she's going to do 60 upon 5, which is equal to 12. So 10, 12, and 60 upon 12, that's equal to 5. Okay? All right. Now, Acha beta, I think there's a lot of irrelevant stuff going on here. So sorry for doing what I'm about to do, but here we are. Okay. Now, factorize. Factorize means that we have to take common. ठीक है, मैं कल जैन की स्ट्रीम में देखा, उन्होंने भी chat disable कर दी, so that's where I got this idea from. I was like, I should also do it. So credit goes to him. Now, factorize, what can we take common? We can take 3 along with c common. So that means we can multiply this with 2c square plus 3. ठीक है, अच्छा, what I'll do is, just a minute, I'll just quickly, अच्छा, ये जो link के लिए जो लोग बोल रहे थे, link is, there's no need for the link. These are all past papers. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you guys have this with you. If you don't, you can just look them up online. Anyway, now when we have 4 terms, what do? We make pairs and take common. Simple as that. Okay. Work out the perimeter of the shape PRSTUV. Ab dekho, in paper 1, if you have a 3-4 mark question, it's very important that you plan your answer. Okay, don't have that head-on approach where you're like, I'm just going to start solving. No, if it's a 3-mark question, that means there's a lot of working that you have to do, which will get you the relevant marks. So it's a square with sides 6. So that means this is also 6, this is also 6, this is also 6. QRST is a rectangle with width 4 centimeter. Okay, the area of the square is equal to the area of the rectangle. So what's the length of the rectangle? We don't know. Let's call it L. So that means 6 square is equals to 4 times L, correct? So 36 is equals to 4L. L is equals to 9. So the 3 marks that you're given, the 3 marks that this question is for, there's a lot of working that you have to do in between, which will get you all the marks. So you have the length, which is 9. So if this is 9, and you know that this is 6, so that means this will be equal to 3. Now what you have to do is make a list of all the lengths that you're supposed to add. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you can count it as one length if you want. 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so there are 7 lengths that you need to add. You have all the lengths, add them up, you will get the final answer. Okay, now make sure that you guys revise conversions for tomorrow. Don't take the conversions lightly, especially conversions of length, conversions of area, conversion of volume. ठीक है, ये सब आपने revise करके जाना है. Conversion of time, like how to convert hours to minutes, conversion of kilograms to grams. So these are all important conversions that you must revise before tomorrow's exam. Okay, now just revise the conversion for length, okay, from kilometer to meter to centimeter to millimeter. And if you want to use it for area, remember what we do is we square. If you want to use it for volume, what we do is we simply cube it. Okay? Okay, now, so 75 grams to 3 kilograms, all you have to do is let grams be as it is, write 3 kilograms as 3,000 grams, and then of course simplify. Okay, simplify starting with the number that you're comfortable with. If you want to start with 5, go ahead. If you're feeling very brave, you want to start with perhaps 75, go ahead. But do as much working as necessary for you to make sure you don't end up making an error. Okay. In a tennis club, the ratio... Okay, let's solve this question. In a tennis club, the ratio number of junior members, number of senior members is 7:10. There are 18 more senior members than junior members. Okay, now there are two ways of solving questions like these, especially when you're given. So notice that you're not given the number of junior members, you're not given the number of senior members. What you are given is basically the difference. So there are two ways of solving this. So I'll solve it using method 1. Okay. So what are we talking about? We're talking about junior is to senior. And what's the ratio? The ratio is 7:10. Now the question says that there are 18 more senior members than junior members. So what I can do is I can take junior members to be equal to x, in which case the number of senior members become x plus 18, which is equal to 7/10. When you cross multiply, this will give you the value of x, which by the way is not the final answer. Okay? Be careful, the question is asking you for the total. So if you want the total will be equal to x plus 18. Okay, so why have I done this? Because the number of junior members are x, and the question says that the number of senior members are 18 more, so that's why we do x plus 18. Okay, 7 is the ratio for junior, 10 is the ratio for senior. So then there is method 2. Method 2 is personally my favorite method. This is the method that I encourage. So basically what you do is you write down the number, you basically write down the ratio and you write down the actual. Okay, ab dekho, you're given 18. So 18 is what? 18 is the actual number of people. Now what is this 18 equal to in ratio? This is not equal to 7. This is not equal to 10. It's actually the difference between the two. And what's the difference in ratio? The difference in ratio is equals to 3. Now what you want is the total. So that means what's the total going to be? The total has ratio 17. What's that equal to? That's equal to x. Cross multiply, you'll get the same answer. 3x is equals to 17 times 18. 3 1s are 3. 3 6 are 18. X is equals to 17 times 6, which is equal to 60 plus 42, which is equal to 102. Okay? So 102 is the correct answer. Either भी आप करते तो आपका यही answer आता. Only difference is that here you've taken x to be the junior members. Here you've taken x to be the total. Okay, so just keep your eyes and ears open. Okay, this is easy. You will just make sure that you have to mark all the missing points first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, once you've marked all the missing points, then you will be asked to draw, you may be asked to show what type of correlation it is. It's a positive correlation. Draw a line of best fit. Remember, the best line of best fit is basically the one where the number of points lying above are equal to the number of points lying below. But if, let's say, there's a difference of 1 point, that's perfectly all right. Okay, so the rule is that imagine all the points to be inside a rectangle. Okay, so imagine, put all the points inside a rectangle and then see where is it that you can draw a line which will be inside this rectangle and inside, and in such a way that the number of points lying above are equal to the number of points lying below. Achha, can the scatter diagram be used to predict the height of this plant 100 days after planting? What do you think? Can the scatter diagram be used after 100 days? After planting, let's see. What's the data that we are given? The number below shows, no, we don't. Why? Because we don't have any data. Okay, the data that we have is up until 80. So because we don't have enough data, so we can't use the scatter diagram to predict it. ठीक है, ये आपकी line जब आप बनाओगे ना, तो ये probably यहाँ तक आ जाएगी. ठीक है, there will be not enough data for you to predict what will be the height after 100 days. Okay. by writing each number correct to one significant figure. Now remember the rules when rounding off. Don't just read what you have to round off to. Also keep in mind the number that you're rounding off. So for example, 21.86. Now correct to one significant figure, this is 20. 9.64 correct to one significant figure will be 10, sorry. And 2.47 will be 2. Remember to follow the rules of BODMAS. So this will be 20 minus 10 divided by 2. So you'll first divide, okay, and then you will subtract. So 20 minus 5, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 15. Okay, Adil observed the number of people in each of 20 cars entering a car park. Write down the mode. Mode will be the highest frequency. Calculate the mean number of people in each car. So find out the number of people multiplied by the frequency, add them up, and how many cars are we talking about? We're talking about 20 cars, so divided by 20. Okay, so for example here, the total frequency will be equal to 2. Here the total frequency will be equal to 14. Why? Because 2 is the number of people, 7 is the frequency. Here the total frequency will be 18, and just like that, add them up, divide by the total number of cars, which is 20. Percentage increase is change upon original into 100. There you go. Acha, let's solve this question. Is tarah ke questions are fun. Why? Because you're never given, if you read this question, you will notice that there is no starting value here. The length of the rectangle is increased by 10%. The width of the same rectangle is decreased by 10%. Find the area of the new rectangle as a percentage of the original rectangle. Okay, now, so because you have no starting value, you have no length, you have no width, what do we do? So, hum ek kaam karte hain, we can take a starting value of our own. Okay, and you can take whatever starting value that you like. I'm going to take 10 and 10. Now you might argue that, wait a minute, sir, 10 ka matlab ki ye to square ho gaya. The question says rectangle. So remember, every square is also a rectangle. Why? Because if you apply the definition of a rectangle onto a square, it fits perfectly. A rectangle is opposite sides are equal, all angles are 90 degrees. In a square also, opposite sides are equal, all angles are 90 degrees. So yeah, in a square, the difference is all four sides are equal. Okay, so you can use 10, 10. You can use any starting lengths that you want. You will always get the same answer. If no starting value is given, no ending value is given, and you're only supposed to find out the percentage change. Okay, so let's take the length to be equal to 10, and let's take the width to be equal to 10 also. Now, what's the area? The actual area, that's equal to 100. Now, if the length of a rectangle is increased by 10%, so how do you increase 10 by 10%? So what's 10% of 10? That's equal to 1. वो आप उसमें add कर दें, or you can do it like this, that the new length will be equal to 10 into 110 upon 100. Why? Because you're increasing it by 10%, therefore you're doing 100 plus 10. If you were decreasing it, like we will in the following part, you would then subtract. So that means the new length is 11. Okay, now what about the width? The width is also 10. Now this width you're supposed to decrease by 10%. So how do you decrease something by 10%? You multiply it by 90 upon 100. So that means the new width is 9. Now what's the area going to be? The area will now be equal to 99. Why? Because 11 times 9, that's equal to 99. Now what is it that the question wants? The question wants you to find the area of the new rectangle as a percentage of the area of the original rectangle. So remember this formula? As upon of into 100. So find the area of the new rectangle, so that's 99. As a percentage of the original rectangle, that's upon 100 into 100. So the answer is 99%. There you go. Okay, so you can try this. I encourage you guys to try this with any value, but why did I take 10, 10? That's a good question. That's a possible question to ask. The reason why I took 10, 10 is because 10 is a value in which if you're supposed to increase it by a certain percentage or if you're supposed to decrease it by a certain percentage, it's very easy to do so. That's why I took 10, 10. Okay, this is relative frequency, very simple. Relative frequency is like probability. So if you want to find out the relative frequency of reggae, add the total frequency, subtract from 1. That's your answer. 300 students took part in the survey. Calculate the number of students who chose this. So take 300, multiply it by the relative frequency. That's it. Okay, complete the Venn diagram. So we will place the values accordingly. The universal set has numbers from 1 to 10. X is such that X is a factor of 24. So what are all the factors of 24 that are in between 1 and 10? So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8. So 6 bhi hoga. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. ठीक है, x is a square number, that means it's a perfect square. So 1 is a perfect square, 4 is a perfect square, 9 is a perfect square, and then you can place them accordingly. There you go. Shading के लिए वो जो numbering method मैंने आप लोगों को बताया, make sure to follow that. Doesn't matter how long it takes you. It will only take you a minute extra maybe at max. So follow that numbering method. You will get the right answer every single time. Okay, now notice we have some very easy algebra related questions towards the end. Don't make a sign error here. Okay, you can very easily make a sign error. Do not make any sign errors here also. All you have to do is divide this by 3, divide this by 3, divide this by 3. So you have minus 5 upon 3, which is lesser than or equal to x, lesser than or equal to 2. Now what's minus 5 upon 3? That's minus 2.66 something. Okay, a good idea would be to memorize so decimal values of certain fractions like 1 upon 3, 2 upon 3, and 1 upon 8. 2. Agar aapne nahi kiya hua, that's fine. Now is not the time to do it. But if you have them memorized, it just saves you time. Now read the question carefully. You're supposed to find the integers. So what are the integers that are lying in between? The integers that are lying in between are basically minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. Okay, read the question carefully. Acha, functions, very easy. Plug in minus 3, find the inverse, simple. Write down the name of this special quadrilateral. So what kind of quadrilateral is this? You can see this length is parallel to this length. Okay, now if you have any doubts, you can actually find out the gradient. Okay, or you can do this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means this line and this line has the same gradient. So they're parallel. That means it's a trapezium. Write down the coordinates of the midpoint QR. So simple midpoint formula. Add them up. Divide by 2. The length PS is equals to root m. So you find out the length PS using the length formula. And your answer will be in root m form. Compare the two values to write down the value of m. Okay, matrices no longer part of the syllabus. I hope nobody's prepared this chapter for tomorrow's exam. Okay. Y is inversely proportional to the square root of x. So we're given a certain value. Okay, so आप इसको directly भी कर सकते हैं, or you can follow that. You can first find the equation also if you want. Y is inversely proportional to the square root of x. So that means this is what you have. You're given that y is equals to 3 when x is 4. So 3 is equals to k upon root 4. So k is equals to 3 times 2. What's that equal to? That's equal to 6. So k is equals to 6. That means this is the equation which will solve all your problems. So plug in x as 9. You will have the value of y. Plug in x as... plug in y as 0.6. You'll have the value of x. Let me make sure that I've done this correctly. Yeah, this is correct. Okay, now measure the bearing of B from A. So B from A is this bearing. Place your protractor here. Okay, find out this angle. There you go. Find the distance between the two shapes A and B in kilometer. Okay, so you're given a scale. अच्छा, अब आपने क्या करना है? आपने अपने scale से इसको measure करना है. This is 7 centimeter. According to this, 2 centimeter is equal to 1 kilometer. So 7 centimeter will be equal to x. Cross multiply. X will be equal to 14 kilometer. Simple. A boy, अच्छा, this is no longer part of the syllabus. अच्छा, ये भी देख लो. This is basically paper 1 trigonometry. One solution of the equation is sine m. Sine m equals to 0.63 is 141. If you want to revise paper 1 trigonometry, you can do that from my, I think it was yesterday that I did a live stream. No, day before yesterday. You can revise it from there. Okay, so you're given one solution, and if the question is asking you to write down the other solution, you have to subtract it from 180. Why? Because the identity is that sine theta is equals to sine of 180 minus theta. Okay, so all these topics, if you don't know what I'm doing, then watch the video, and whatever it is that you have to do, just wrap things up by 11 p.m. so that you get a good night's sleep. So you're given one angle, which is 141. So if let's say you're given sine 141 is equals to a certain value, so that means sine of 180 minus 141 will also be equal to that. Okay, and what's 180 minus 141? You guys can work that out, whatever that is equal to. That's your answer. I think it's going to be 29. No, 39. There you go. Okay, number sequences 2n cubed, just plug in n as 3, you'll get the answer. Here are first 4 terms of another sequence, write down the next term of the sequence. So identify a pattern, you may not have to use a formula. In the numerator, you have perfect squares. In the denominator, there's a consistent difference of 2. So there you go. Find the formula for the nth term of this sequence. So numerator has perfect squares. You can see that the first term is a square of 4, second term is a square of 9, third term is a square of 4, fourth term is a square of 5. So that means the term that you're squaring is basically one more than the term number. Okay, so the numerator will be n plus 1, the whole thing square. You don't necessarily have to use the formula here. And the denominator also has a certain sequence, and that sequence is basically 2n plus 1. Okay? Now, the curved surface area of the cone, which is basically pi r L, so pi times 28 times y, is equal to the curved surface area and the cylinder are equal. So the cylinder ka kya area hoga? Cylinder ka area hoga pi times 15 squared, okay, times 2. Why? Because it's a solid cylinder. It has a top and a bottom also, okay. And what's this equal to? This is equal to plus 2 pi RH. So 2 pi 15 times 42. Let me make sure that I've done everything correctly. Pi RL, that's the curved surface area of the cone and the cylinder. So let me confirm the curved surface area of the cone and the cylinder. Okay, so that means cylinder ka bhi sirf curved surface area hi lena. And the question does not say that the curved surface area of the cone is equal to the area of the cylinder. It says the curved surface area of the cone and the cylinder are equal. So that means this curved surface area of the cylinder also, which in case you don't know is 2 pi RH. 2 pi RH. Theek ho gaya? Okay. Pi cancel. If you have a question which comes in, a mensuration question which comes in paper 1, it will be designed to be done without a calculator. Okay, this is a very easy vectors question. You're given OP and you're given OQ. You have to find out PQ. So first you're going to go from P to O. So that's going to be minus A plus 2P. Remember, when you change the direction, you change the sign. Plus OQ, so that means plus 4A plus 4P. Okay, once again, very easy, but be careful of the brackets, especially when you are solving, especially once you've taken the LCM, okay, और उसके बाद जब आप ये कर रहे हो, to remember that you can make an error, that is 2x plus 3 to multiply हो जाएगा 3x minus 2 से, no brainer, but minus 5, when you multiply it by x plus 4, be careful of the sign, you're multiplying minus 5 along with the sign intact. Okay, now as far as the denominator is concerned, you can leave it however way you want. If you want, you can expand it also. That's also perfectly all right. Okay, and not bad. इतनी देर में हमने एक पेपर का run through कर लिया. Okay, now for those of you who are complaining कि मैं बहुत जल्दी कर रहा हूँ, तो बेटा कल पेपर है. ज़ाहिर सी बात है, we can't be doing it with the same level of detail as we were when we were doing it for the first time. Okay, when we were doing it earlier. So. Questions. I've enabled the chat. Let me know what you guys have to say. Can we use substitution method in simultaneous equations? Yes, you can. But now, but in paper 1, especially if you have two linear equations, then the equations are set up in a way that you have to basically, it's easier for you to use elimination. Sir, exponential growth P1 में तो नहीं आता. देखो अगर आएगा तो फिर it's supposed to be done without a calculator. It's as simple as that. Don't think that there will be a question which is supposed to be done with a calculator. You will be asked to do without a calculator. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. देखो last day पे आप yearly papers जो solve किए उनको go through कर लो, which is why I'm also doing a run through. Don't sit down and solve past papers. I don't recommend that. Simple. Okay, don't ask me what's likely to come in paper or so and so paper. If you've solved enough past papers, you would know what kind of questions come in each paper. Sign वाला बेटा दूसरा वीडियो देख लो, समझ आ जाएगा. Go through your notes also. The stream, बेटा stream जब भी end होगी, मतलब nobody is holding you back, right? किसी ने आपको बांध के तो नहीं बिठाया हुआ ना. तो अगर आपने नहीं देखनी stream तो आप चले जाएं. Simple as that. Sir, if the answer is not rounded off to 3 significant, देखो, you have to follow the instructions. It's written on the question paper that give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Simple as that. Okay, now let's not waste time. We have a lot to cover. And let's move to the next paper. Here. This is paper 12. Okay. Once again, very simple question. ठीक है. Just be careful of the decimals. So you multiply, ignore the decimals, multiply the normal numbers that you do multiplication, and in the end, move the decimal backwards equal to the number of decimal places that you have in the question. So that's 3 decimal places in this question. Here also, very simple, take the LCM and minus. Make sure to read the question carefully. Sometimes the question asks you to write the answer in a certain form. Achha, write down the order of rotational symmetry of the shape. So as you can see, अगेन इसका कोई ट्रिक नहीं है, कोई फार्मूला नहीं है. अब आपकी थोड़ी विजुलाइजेशन, थोड़ा अकल भी आपने इस्तेमाल करनी है. ठीक है, सारा काम फार्मूलाज का नहीं होता, अकल भी साथ साथ चाहिए होती है. So the rotational symmetry will be of order 3. Why? Because in a full 360 degrees rotation, you can expect to get the same shape a total of 3 times. Samuel describes a special quadrilateral. It has only one line of symmetry. Its diagonals cross at right angles. What is the name of the special quadrilateral? Now remember, this is basically, these are the properties of kite, that it has one line of symmetry and the diagonals cross at right angles. Achha, in questions like these, remember you're supposed to write down the original value. So for example, square root of 196 is 14. So don't write 14 in the answer space, and cube root of 125 is 5. Don't write 5 in the answer space, because what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to write down the original values. So keep that in mind. ठीक हो गया. Achha, write 68%, easy. A bag contains red is to blue. The balls are in the ratio red is to blue 3 is to 5. Write down the fraction of the balls that are red. So 3 upon 8, that's your answer. Once again, easy, writing each number correct to one significant figure. So be careful. Do not make 0.8931. It's not going to be 1. It's going to be 0.9. Even though 1 is one significant figure, but we have to keep the number in mind that we're rounding off. ये नहीं कि हम कहें कि भाई 1 भी तो one significant figure है. But what is the number that you're rounding off? That number should be rounded off correct to one significant figure. Okay, so 0.893 correct to one significant figure will be 0.9. This will be 60, and this will be 3 along with the cube. Okay, modal class. Modal class will be the number, basically will be the chart, the pi, which has the greatest angle, and that's 135. So there you go. Achha, 8 of the players scored 11 to 15 goals. Work out the total number of players in the club. Okay, so 8 players scored 11 to 15. Ab 11 to 15 का angle क्या है? 72 है. So that means 8 players is representing 72. So what will be the angle that the total is representing? That's x. Cross multiply, get your answer. So here also make pairs and take common. Be careful of the signs. Make sure that the expression inside both the brackets are the same. Here we have scatter plot. Remember, line of best fit के जो rules मैंने बताए, number of points lying above equal to the number of points lying below, and then you have to use your line of best fit to estimate the number that of steps that they walk, the number of steps that they would take to walk 100 meters. You're given the height, so you'll take the height and you'll find out the corresponding y value of your line of best fit. Remember to not be too casual about reading graphs. You have to make sure that you're reading the graph carefully. If it's in between, if let's say it's between 142 and 144, so you better write 143 as your answer. Okay, find the actual distance. So once again, you will look at the scale. Scale is from 1 centimeter to 10 kilometer. You will find out this distance. You will see what this distance is. This distance is basically 8.5. So 8.5 centimeter, you'll multiply it by 10, so that's 85 kilometer. Okay. Town C is on a bearing of, now this part is still part of your syllabus, okay? Town C is on a bearing of 140 degrees from town A. So what will 140 degrees look like? So this is 0, this is 90, 140 यहाँ पे कहीं पे होगा, तो आपने क्या करना है? आपने basically एक line बना देनी है of random length, okay? Make sure that you extend it also. And on a bearing of 235 degrees from town B. Now, you cannot measure 235 degrees from in any protractor. So instead what you will do is, instead of measuring 235 degrees clockwise, you will instead measure this angle, which will be 360 minus 235, that's equal to 125. ठीक है, और आपने 125 degrees यहाँ से measure करके एक line बना देनी है of random length. The point where they intersect is basically the town that the question is talking about. Oh, I just realized no calculator in paper 1, but anyway, we're saving time. Okay, Bilal goes for a cycle ride. He starts at 3 p.m. He finishes at 5:38 p.m. He has a total of 25 minutes rest during the ride. Work out how long in hours and minutes he spent cycling. अच्छा, अब इसमें क्या ख्याल रखना है? The time has given AM, PM, so that means do not convert this into a 24-hour clock. Not a good idea. Find out the difference here. Okay, and from that, subtract 25. ठीक है, तो जब आप time को subtract करें, this is a pretty straightforward question. 5:38 में से when you're subtracting 3 p.m. So this is 3, this is 8, this is 2. But he was not cycling for 2 hours and 38 minutes. From the 2 hours and 38 minutes, he spent 25 minutes resting. So you'll subtract this. So you have 3, you have 1. So 2 hours and 13 minutes is the answer to question number 10. Okay, Sonia walks to her aunt's house. She leaves home at 10:25. She walks a total of 12 kilometers at an average speed of 5 kilometers per hour. Work out the time Sonia arrives to her aunt's house. Okay, so time is equals to what? Time is equals to distance upon speed. Now the question is, are we given the distance? Yes, we are. Are we given the speed? Yes, we are. So what's 12 upon 5? That's equal to 2.4. अब 2.4 का क्या मतलब है? 2.4 का मतलब है 2 hours. Okay, so this is hours. Okay, so 2.4 means 2 hours. And what about the minutes? So I will take the 0.4 hours and I'll multiply this by 60. So 0.4 times 60, that's equal to 24 minutes. Ab she left at 10:25. And if she takes 2 hours and 24 minutes, at what time will she arrive at her aunt's house? So that would be 12:49. ठीक हो गया? अच्छा, basic algebra. Simple, watch out for sign errors. Like for example, there's a minus here and there's a minus here. So this will become plus, watch out for that. Find y when x is equals to minus 2. What should we watch out for here? When power is negative, we take the reciprocal. So this will be 1 upon 5 square plus 1. So there you go. Remember to use the LCM before you solve this. That's no longer part of the syllabus. Don't do this. 108 as a product of its prime factors. So 108 when written as a product of its prime factors, I'll just write down the answer directly. So that would be 2 square into 2 square is 4. 4 times 27. Yeah, 4 times 27, which is equal to 3 cube. ठीक है, आपने method वही use करना है. मैं सिर्फ time बचाने के चक्कर में I'm just writing it directly. Okay. Find the lowest common multiple. So you've already written 108 as a product of its prime factors. So that's 2 squared times 3 cubed. Write 180 as a product of its prime factors. So what does 180 look like when written as a product of its prime factors? So that's equal to 4, 2 square. So 4 times 9. That's equal to, no, 4 times 27. No, wait a minute. 2 square times 3 square, so 4 times 9, that's 36. 36 into, no, चलो कर ही लेते हैं, काम करते हैं. Here's 180. Okay, 2 times 90, 2 times 45, 3 times 15, 3 times 5, 5. So I was right. 2 square times 3 square times 5. Let me just double check. 2 squared is 4. 6 squared, that's 36. 36 times 5. Yeah, I was correct. Okay. So LCM chahiye. Now remember, in LCM, what do we look for? Think of LCM as union. कि हम दोनों का ना union बना रहे हैं. So एक तरफ 2 square है, दूसरी तरफ भी 2 square है. तो union में क्या आएगा? 2 square आएगा. एक तरफ 3 cube है, दूसरी तरफ 3 square है. So union में क्या आएगा? Union में 3 cube आएगा. Okay, so basic union, or you can think of it this way, that we'd look for the higher power. Now, here you have 5, and here you don't have anything to do with 5. So that means we can say 5 power 0, just for the sake of comparison. So that means we will have 5 as the answer. So 2 square times 3 cube times 5, that's your LCM. Okay. In 27, the population of Egypt was so-and-so. Write the population in standard form. Fairly simple. Okay. In 2017, the population density of a country is the number of people per square kilometer. In 2017, the population of Indonesia was so-and-so. The area of Indonesia is so-and-so. So you will take 2.62 into 10 to the power 8, and you will divide it by the area, which is 2 into 10 to the power 6. Simplify and give your answer. Remember, it's going to be an estimate. So how will you simplify? First, you will simplify this. So this will be 10 raised to the power 2. Same bases are being divided. So 2.62 into 10 square upon 2. So that's 2.62 into 100 divided by 2. First multiply by 100, then divide by 2, you'll have the answer. Acha, also, since the question asked you to find out the LCM, remember we will not leave our answer like this. We will give the answer as the actual value. So whatever this is equal to, let me see what this is equal to. 3 cube is 27, 27 times 4, that's equal to 108, 108 times 5, so that's 500, 500 plus 40, 540. That's the answer. ठीक है, तो हम इस तरह से देंगे. The question did not say that write the LCM as a product of its prime factors or stuff like that, so we'll give it like this. Okay, now, find out the 3 lines. Watch out that the question does not use the term like inside or anything of that sort. The lines are solid, so you'll find out 3 equations. You'll write them in inequality form. Okay, a good idea would be to first number the lines and then find the equation, just to make it easy for you. Okay. Q is a subset of P, so Q will be drawn inside of P. P intersection R is a null set, so that means there is a set R which has nothing to do, no common area with P, so R will be drawn outside of it. Okay. Here are first 4 terms of a number sequence. I think I've solved this, so identify a pattern. You can see that the first term is 3, then after that 8, so consistently we're adding 5. This is a vertical sequence. Okay, so that means in the next term, the term that we're squaring is always equal to the term number, so that means T5 will be 5 square, and the term that we will add will be 5 greater than 18, so that means that's going to be 23. So add them up, 23 plus 25, that's equal to 50 minus 2, so that's 48. There you go. Find an expression for n. So जो square वाली terms हैं उनका तो scene काफ़ी straightforward है. The nth term would be n square. Okay, but the term that you're adding is an arithmetic sequence, okay, for which you will have to find out the common difference and you'll have to find out the general term using the formula. Okay, so the common difference is 5, so that means ये होगा 5n minus 2. Okay, and then you can simplify it and write. Actually, no, it's already simplified. There's nothing you can do. Okay, deceleration. Deceleration is what? So if you have a speed time graph, remember, acceleration is basically, acceleration or deceleration is basically the gradient of the graph. So you're given the deceleration of the car between 140 to 200 is 0.2. That means gradient of this line is 0.2. And with the help of that, and remember, since you're given the deceleration, that means the gradient would be equal to minus 0.2. ठीक है? अच्छा, a car travels a total. So what's the distance of a speed time graph equal to? And distance is basically equal to area of speed time graph. So find the area of this trapezium, set it equal to 1800, and you will have the value of t. Okay, now be careful that one parallel length will be 200, the other parallel length would be 140 minus t. Okay, so you will solve for the value of t and you will have the answer. Okay, now question number 19. On the grid, draw the vector 3p. So just draw a vector which is 3 times of p, okay, in the same direction. So this is 2p and this is 3p. यहाँ पे काम ये भी कर सकते हैं कि आप p देख लें किसके बराबर है. P is basically 2 units to the right and 1 unit up. So that means 3p will actually be 3 times of this. So that means it's going to be 6 and 3. So it's going to be 6 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 3 units up. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3. Okay, don't be too casual about it. You don't want to lose easy marks. Achha, then the question says q minus p. Okay, so q minus p basically means that at the end of q, you join a vector which is the opposite of p. Okay, so if it was q plus p, this would be answer. This would be the answer. But since it's q minus p, so that means minus p will actually look like this. Okay, you can think of it this way. Okay, minus p would be minus 2 and minus 1. So that means 2 units to the left, 1 unit down. That's basically minus p in the opposite direction. Okay, the plan of a house is drawn to a scale of 1:50. On the plan, the floor area of the kitchen is 30 centimeters square. Calculate the floor area of the real kitchen. So A1 upon A2 is equals to L1 upon L2, the whole thing square. The length that you're given is 1:50. Use that. अच्छा, आपको plan का area दिया हुआ है, real चाहिए आपको. Don't forget to square it. That's the answer. Indices, easy. Just remember to first simplify inside the bracket, then the power is negative, make that positive, and then apply the power. Functions easy. Inverse of x, remember the rules, g of x equals to 6, equate it to 6, solve for the value of x, be careful about algebraic manipulation. This also is fairly easy, just expand. Remember to watch out for the signs, and that's it. These are the kind of questions that you should solve in the beginning of the paper. You should solve these kind of questions. Okay, P is the point so and so. P lies on the line, so that means you're going to plug in these coordinates onto in the equation of this line. So 3 times 7 plus 2 times h is equals to 5. Solve for the value of h, you'll have the answer. Okay, part B. Line L is perpendicular to the line. Perpendicular means that you will take the negative reciprocal of the gradient. अच्छा, h की value देख लेते हैं. So that's 21. 5 minus 21 is minus 16. Minus 16 divided by 2, that's minus 8. Okay. So that means the coordinates of P are minus 8, comma 7. Okay. Find the equation of line L. So line L is perpendicular, so that means 3y is equals to minus 2x plus 5. Y is equals to minus 2 upon 3x plus 5 upon 3. So इस line का gradient ये है. That means the line that is perpendicular to it, which is line L, उसका gradient होगा negative reciprocal, so that means it's going to be 3 upon 2. Okay, and we need a point through which it's passing. That's minus 8, comma 7. So we'll use the gradient and the point to get the answer. Okay, matrices, no longer part of the syllabus. And we are done with this paper as well. Now I'll enable the chat for a few seconds. Let's see what is the pulse like. Should we do cubic sequences? Yes, you should. You should definitely do cubic sequences. So अगर 0.987 को 1 decimal place करने को बोले तो 1 हो जाएगा, तो बिल्कुल तो 1.0 हो जाएगा basically. So how to know when to use trig angle identities or trig ratios using quadrants? If it's a trigonometric equation, then you will use the quadrants. फ्रस्टम बिल्कुल आ सकता है P1 में, क्यों नहीं आ सकता? कोई भी चीज़, कोई भी टॉपिक किसी पेपर में आ सकता है बेटा. Any streams for sketching you've done? Yep, I've done 2 streams. Check it out. Sir, are you an IBA student? I'm not. I was an IBA student, yes. Yes, we will be doing this for additional mathematics as well. Okay. Sir, if you forget your compass, will the... जी बेटा, बिल्कुल आपको compass, खाने पीने को सब पूरा बुफे लगा होगा आपके लिए. Sir, solved specimen paper in 1 hour and scored full marks. Good for you. बहुत अच्छी बात है. Planes of symmetry देखो, planes of symmetry Google करके ना, just remember the planes of symmetry of certain shapes, like for example, cube, cuboid, square base pyramid, all the prisms that you have. Okay, so that's what I would suggest. Matrices is no longer part of IGCSE. It's no longer part of. It's no longer part of O levels also. There is a way to remember the sine, cos, tan values. I've made a video on it. Make sure to check it out. Okay. अच्छा, we'll take a break. Don't worry about it. We'll take a break. अभी हम 15 मिनट में break लेते हैं. ठीक है. First, let's do a run through of another paper. अच्छा, for that, what I'll do is from now on, I will do a run through of the difficult papers. ठीक है, जिसका basically threshold जो था ना, वो low था, मैं उसका run through करूँगा. ठीक है. Otherwise it will take us forever and we won't be able to wrap it up before 7:30. 7:30 I have another stream. So just a minute. Okay, so 2022 May June paper 12 इसका threshold है 49 out of 80. ठीक है, इसको solve करते हैं. So May June 2022 paper 12, yeah, the threshold of this paper is actually 29 out, oh sorry, not 29, 49 out of 80. Let me confirm. अच्छा साथ साथ एग्जामिनर रिपोर्ट भी देखते हैं. एग्जामिनर रिपोर्ट में there are some key insights which you guys don't pay attention to. सारे जो आपके silly questions होते हैं ना उसका आंसर एग्जामिनर रिपोर्ट में होता है. Candidates should ensure that they are showing all working and answers are clearly written in the appropriate answer space. Candidates should also take extra care to write numbers clearly. The use of extra sheets of paper should be discouraged. Okay, so somebody asked me this question, okay, can we use extra sheets? I hope you're watching, whoever you are. The use of extra sheets of paper should be discouraged. Okay, why is it discouraged? That's because, think of it this way. The amount of space that you're given is enough for you to solve the question. If it's a lengthy question, you're given plenty of space. If it's a short question, you're given enough space to solve the question. So if you have to use an extra sheet, that means you're probably doing something that's irrelevant and you're just adding to the examiner's, to the checker's task. Okay, you're just adding to the checker's work, which means that jo aapne kaam kiya wo irrelevant hai. Unless of course you get something wrong and you don't have space to do it again, then of course you should take an extra sheet. In which case you should mention it clearly. Okay? Acha. The performance of this paper was generally, before that, candidates need to take notice of instructions given with the question. For example, question 12 instructs the candidates to write each number correct to one significant figure, so probably there were students who didn't follow that. Question 13b requires the answer to be in its simplest form, so once again, probably students wouldn't have followed that. We'll see what that is. And question 15c asks for the answer in the form. So question 15c wants you to give the answer in prime factorized form. Okay. So easy, the first question. Part B is also easy. Achha, this is a pictogram. ये मैं अपनी किसी stream में I think cover करा चुका हूँ. So no need to freak out. Pictogram basically means that you draw a picture to represent a certain frequency. So here one circle is representing 4 people. And as you can see here we have 3 circles. So that means this must be equal to 12. Apple is 8. So that means we'll draw 2 of these circles. Okay, so the key is everything. ये नहीं कि अब आप अपने टीचर को बोलने लग जाएं कि oh my god ये पिक्टोग्राम क्या है हमें तो कराया नहीं. तो बेटा आपके टीचर ने assume क्या होगा कि you're smart enough to figure this out, so please don't disappoint him. Okay, so you are literally smart enough. अगर आप यहाँ तक पहुँच गए हैं, so I'm pretty sure that you're smart enough और अपनी मेहनत से पहुँचे हैं, तो I'm pretty sure you're smart enough to be able to figure this out. Draw 2 circles to show the frequency of apple. And in the case of banana, you have 3 circles, so that means that's equal to 12. Orange is basically 5, so that means you will draw 1 full circle and a quarter circle to show basically one person. Okay, write down the mode. The mode, as we can see, is banana, so there you go. Acha, also melon kitne logon ko represent kar raha hai? So that's 4 and 3 quarters, so that means 3. 4 plus 3, that's equal to 7. Easy. Okay, A and B are vertices of a quadrilateral. Line L is the line of symmetry. Find the coordinates of the 2 other vertices of a quadrilateral. Okay, simple. So if line L is the line of symmetry, so that means B की जो image बनेगी वो यहाँ बनेगी, A की जो image बनेगी वो यहाँ बनेगी. So go ahead, join this. Just reflect the 2 points that you're given along this line of reflection, along this line of symmetry, and you will have the quadrilateral. Simple as that. Okay, no need to make a big deal. No need to think that, oh, I haven't done this concept, I haven't done questions like these. It's okay. You can use your common sense to answer this question. Okay. Very easy. The temperature inside Luke's house is 18. The temperature outside is -3. So just find the difference. 18 minus -3, that's equal to 21. Okay. Now, Luke's thermometer measures the temperature correct to the nearest degree. At midnight, the thermometer measures the temperature outside as -6 degrees Celsius. Find the upper bound of the temperature outside at midnight. Okay, now be careful. अब इधर upper bound क्या होगा? It's -6 degrees Celsius. It's correct to the nearest temperature. Okay, nearest degree, sorry. So you'll divide that by 2. If you want the upper bound, you will add. So that's going to be -5.5. Okay, there you go. Okay, once again, a simple construction question. We've gone over this multiple times. Find out the distance in centimeter, multiply that by 2 to get it in kilometers. Okay, measure the bearing of B from A. So to measure the bearing of B from A, once you've drawn the line, you will simply measure this angle. Okay, that will be the bearing of B from A. Okay, simple interest. Make sure to read the question carefully. The question is asking the total amount of interest he will receive at the end of 4 years, not the total. Okay, so watch out for that. All right, the area of the rectangle is 9. The area of the triangle is 85 millimeters square. Calculate the shaded area, giving your answer in centimeters square. Okay, so don't just do 9 minus 85. Remember, 9 minus 85. How do you convert millimeter to centimeter? Divide by 10. But because this is millimeter square and you need to convert it to centimeter square, so you'll divide it by 10 squares. That means 85 upon 100. So that means that the decimal will move 2 places left. So it's 0.85. So 9 minus 0.85, that's equal to 8.15. There you go. Okay, easy. It's a pentagon. Remember, the sum is equal to 5 minus 2 into 180, which is 540. Add them up, equal to 540. You'll get the answer. Okay, this is a fairly easy question of number patterns. So this was 3 more. You can see that there's a consistent difference of 3. And then since it's an arithmetic sequence, you can find out the nth term also. Shani has 100 counters. She uses some of the counters to make pattern 20. She uses all the remaining counters to make pattern K. This is an interesting question, and let's solve this. So this will be equal to 11 plus 3, that's 14. This will be equal to 14 plus 3, that's 17. Find an expression in terms of n for the number of counters in pattern n. So that means the general term will be 3n plus 2, okay, using the AP formula, a plus n minus 1 into d. Shani has 100 counters. She uses some of the counters to make pattern 20. The thing is, how many counters will pattern 20 take? Let's work that out by plugging in n as 20. So 3 times 20 is 60. 60 plus 2, that's equal to 62. So if she's used 62 counters, that means how many are left? 100 minus 62. So that means 38 counters are left. The question is, what's the pattern number that she can make using 38 counters? How will we figure that out? So she makes pattern K. So that means n is equals to K. 3K plus 2 is equals to 38. So 3K is equals to 38 minus 2, which is 36. And that means K is equals to 12. Okay, so she will make pattern number 12. मैं दोबारा बता देता हूँ. She has 100 counters. So these are basically counters. These are pattern numbers. So if she has 100 counters and she makes pattern 20, so using this will give us the number of counters that she uses, that's 62. And 62 we will subtract from 100. And once you do that, you will have the number of counters that are left, which is equal to 38. And we need to find out what is the pattern number that she can make with these many counters. ठीक हो गया? Okay. अच्छा, इस तरह के questions करते हैं. Work out the fraction of the balls that are blue. So the best way to solve questions like these is that you write red is to blue. That's 3:8. Now instead of writing green is to blue, write blue is to green. Okay, so what's blue is to green? That's basically 5:2. Before you can find out the fraction of the balls that are blue, you need to find out the ratio of red is to blue is to green. Okay, it's a 3-mark question. That means, and these are free marks, honestly, if you ask me. Okay, these are free marks. Why? Because it's a very easy question. Now, before you can find this ratio, you have to make sure that the common color, which is blue, has the same quantity in both the ratios. So that means we want a number which is a multiple of 5 and a multiple of 8, so that we can multiply both these ratios and turn it to that. So we multiply this by 5 and we multiply this by 8. So 5 times 3 is 15, 8 times 5 is 40, so 40, 16. Now, what is the fraction? First, let's write the ratio. So that's going to be 15 is to 40 is to 16. ठीक हो गया? Now, the fraction of the balls that are blue, that's 40 divided by 40 plus 15, that's 55. 55 plus 16, so that's 61, 71. 40 upon 71, that's the answer. Acha, this is no longer part of the syllabus, so let's ignore that. Acha, right, so-and-so correct to 3 significant figures. Now remember, the rule of significant figures is कि अगर decimal के बाद 0 आ रहे हैं, they are not considered significant. Okay, so the initial zeros that you have after 0 point in a decimal, they're not considered significant. So 0.002. Now from this point onwards, significant figures start. So 204. These are your 3 significant figures. ठीक है, फिर वही usual question आ गया. अच्छा, here don't forget to first do what's inside the bracket first and then take the square of it. Okay, so that means 3 times 4 and then square it, which is equal to 144. Acha, write down an irrational number. irrational value of n that satisfies the inequality? Very common question. So a good idea would be to rewrite 4.5 as square root of 4.5 squared. So what's 4.5 squared? 4.5 squared is basically 20.25. Okay, I've done it directly. You can do it step by step. And similarly, 5.5 squared is basically 30.25. Let me confirm. Yeah. ठीक है, अगर आप डायरेक्टली नहीं कर सकते तो आप 55/10 into 55/10 करके कर लो. No big deal. ठीक है, and same goes for 45 also. There is a shortcut, by the way, for multiplying numbers by 5. You can watch a video, तो आपको समझ आ जाएगा. So basically, 20.25 is lesser than or equal to n, which is lesser than or equal to 30.25. ठीक है? So we haven't changed any value. We've just rewritten 4.5 and we've just rewritten 5.5. अब इनके बीच में you have so many options. You can write square root of 21. You can write square root of 22. What you cannot write is basically square root of 25 because this is a perfect square, but you have a lot of options. So that means you can write square root of 21, totally acceptable, 22, 23, 24, 26, 27, 28, 29, also 30, but not 25. Okay? All right, easy. It's best that you write all of them in ordinary form before you give your final answer. Okay, this is a calculation using numbers in standard form. Find out the value of A and the value of B. Okay, so let's work this out. So here's what you have. A into 10 raised to the power minus 7. I think this was a tricky question. Abhi dekh lete hain. Divide by 5 into 10 raised to the power b is equals to 4 into 10 raised to the power minus 16. Achha, do bear in mind that these are all numbers in standard form. Achha, अब हम a upon 5 करते हैं. ठीक है, so if I do a upon 5 into 10 raised to the power minus 7 minus b is equal to 4 into 10 raised to the power minus 16. Achha, अब here's the thing. We can't compare them because if we compare them, तो फिर problem ये होगी कि ये standard form में नहीं रहेगा. ठीक है, this number will no longer be in standard form. Okay, why will this number no longer be in standard form? You can't do a upon 5 is equals to 4 because if you do that, a upon 5 is equals to 4, then that means a is equals to 20, which can't be because the question says that this is a calculation using the numbers in standard form. Okay, we'll read the examiner report of this. I'm sure we'll have something interesting. Achha, अब the thing is, the question is, okay, what do we do? So I have another idea. Okay, now be open to the idea of trial and error. We'll read the examiner report of this and we'll see what the examiner has to say. So instead, if I cross multiply, here's what we get. We get a into 10 raised to the power minus 7 is equals to 4 into 10 raised to the power minus 16. And in case anyone's wondering that how will we know what we have to do, read the question. The question says all the numbers are in standard form. Okay, so if you get a as 20, that's not possible because it's not in standard form. Okay, now, so if you do this, however, this might help. 10 into 10, a into 10 raised to the power minus 7 is equals to 20 into 10 raised to the power minus 16 plus b. Okay, so what I've done is apples to apples, oranges to oranges. Simple. Achha, once again, we cannot compare these two. We cannot say a is equals to 20 and 10 power minus 7 is equals to this. Why? Because while this may be in standard form, this is not in standard form. So ek kaam karte hain. Let's divide this by 10 so that we can turn it into 2, which means that it's going to be in standard form, and let's multiply this by 10. So this remains as it is. And this, however, becomes 2 into 10 raised to the power minus 16 plus b plus 1. So that means it's going to be minus 15 plus b. Ab hum keh sakte hain that since the number on the right hand side is also in standard form, so that means now we can safely compare and say a is equals to 2 and 10 power minus 7 must be equal to 10 to the power minus 15 plus b. So this cancels. B is equals to minus 7 plus 15. So what's minus 7 plus 15? That's equal to 8. There you go. That's the answer. Okay, y is directly proportional to x minus 1, the whole thing square. Pretty simple. Okay, you can do it directly, but if you're not comfortable with that method, you can do it step by step. I'm going to skip that. Achha. Now, paper 1 mein graphs of functions aa gaya. Ab dekho, graphs of functions is what? Is a paper 2 topic. But now all of a sudden we have it in paper 1. What does that mean? That means you can have paper 2 topics in paper 1, but if they do come in paper 1, that means they're designed to be done without a calculator. Okay, so we'll solve this in a minute. By drawing a tangent, estimate the gradient of the curve at x equals to minus 1. Okay, estimate the gradient of the curve at x equals to minus 1. So here you have. Remember the rules of tangent. The purpose of tangent is to take a certain point on the curve and to magnify it. Okay, that's what the purpose of the tangent is. So x equals to minus 1 के आसपास जो curve बन रहा है, tangent का objective is to basically magnify that. Okay, now you extend it, and because it's paper 1, that means you will not be allowed to use a calculator. So extend it a good amount so that you have enough values which you can then use to find out the gradient. Okay, so for example, here I have 1 comma 0. That's a nice value. Integer value, it's going to be easy to work with. And then I have 0 comma 2.4. Also not a difficult value to work with. Okay, and any other value, like for example, ye value bhi buri nahi hai, it's minus 1.5 comma 6. So as long as it's on the line, it's going to do the job. Okay, by drawing a suitable straight line on the graph, find the solutions to the equation. So pretty standard question, although I still see you guys struggling with questions like these. I don't know why. Probably because you guys are not making use of the content that's available. So very, very standard questions, and these questions should no longer be a problem. In fact, you should be looking forward to questions like these. So the idea is to add, subtract something so that the left-hand side is equal to the equation of the curve that's drawn. So we have x cubed upon 5 here, we have x cubed upon 5 here, we have minus 3x here, we have minus 3x here. The only thing that's missing is plus 2. So you do a plus 2 on the left, you do a plus 2 on the right. So this becomes equal to the equation of the curve. So that's y. Y is equals to 2. What's that suitable straight line? This is the suitable straight line that the question was talking about. So y is equals to 2. Make sure to extend it. Although O level में examiner जो है ना वो आप पे एक बहुत एहसान ये करता है, मैं आपको बताता हूँ. वो आप पे एक एहसान ये करता है कि वो आपको आंसर स्पेसेस ओके इधर उसने आप पे वो एहसान नहीं किया, ठीक है, क्योंकि अक्सर वो क्या करता है, अक्सर वो आपको 3 ब्लैंक्स दे देता है. द एग्जामिनर गिव्स यू 3 ब्लैंक्स, x equals to this, x equals to this, x equals to this, which means that if there is a student who's probably drawn just this part of the line, would know, okay, wait a minute, I need to find, there are more blanks to fill, which means I need to probably extend the line. But if in this question you don't extend the line enough, you will probably realize that you just have to write down one answer, and you probably not realize that you have to write down more than one answer, and you'll get it wrong. Okay, so what are the values going to be? One value that I can easily eyeball is 0. Okay, so remember, when you're solving this, you're solving for x. So one value is 0. So there's a negative value also, which is minus. Remember, agar graph already bana hua hai, then there's little to no margin of error. So this is minus 3.5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So minus 3.85. Okay, and there is another value, which is 3.85 also, positive 3.85. Acha, also I remembered, just I said okay, we're going to read the examiner report for question number, what was the question? For question number 14, part B. So let's do that. This is paper 12, question 14, part B. So I just realized that in the beginning I read the examiner report for paper 11. But anyway, so question number 14, part B. We'll find something interesting. This part was, so this is the standard form question. This part was found to be very challenging for most candidates. Candidates who had a good understanding of standard form calculations used the approach of rearranging the calculation to A is equals to, so exactly what we did, but we didn't do that immediately, okay? So I couldn't figure that out from the get-go that this is what you have to do. So no problem, it's not the end of the world. What you do is, you do a bit of trial and error, and then you do it. If the first try doesn't work, then do a bit of trial and error. That should do the job. Simple as that. This often led to the partial solution of A equals to 20, B is equals to 9, because candidates did not realize that the value of A had to be in the range of 1 to 10 to give a number in standard form. Okay, so jab hamara A equals to 20 aaya, when we got A equals to 20, that's when we realized that, wait a minute, there's something wrong. A cannot be 20 because the number has to be in standard form. पानी भी खत्म होने वाला है. इस पेपर के बाद जरा नमाज ब्रेक लेते हैं, and then we'll continue. Okay, so Ryan says each diagonal has a quadrilateral of Q. Each diagonal of quadrilateral Q divides it into two congruent. Achha, let's skip this. Congruent. Let me see. Draw a ring around congruent one which. इसको skip कर देते हैं. Congruent क्योंकि हमारे syllabus में नहीं है. This is also where you have to prove that they're congruent, not part of syllabus. Let's skip. Okay, functions. Inverse चाहिए, set it equal to y, solve for the value of x. P union Q, very simple. You merge these two. P complement intersection Q union R. So first do what's inside the bracket, meaning you first find Q union R. Then you find P complement, and P complement will basically all the terms in all the letters in the universal set except for what's already in P. And then what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to look for intersection. So find out what's common between P complement and the union of Q and R. That's your answer. Use set notation to describe the shaded subset in the Venn diagram. So it's definitely not A intersection C, because had it been A intersection C, this would also be shaded. That means we need to exclude B. Now you don't exclude B by saying union B complement, because when you do union B complement, तो फिर ये सब भी shade हो जाएगा. Okay, so it's not union, it is B complement, but it is intersection B complement. Okay? Why? Because the shaded region is basically what's common between outside of B and A and C. Okay, so do a bit of trial and error. What you can do is, once you've figured the answer and you're feeling doubtful, then you can use the shading, the numbering method of shading, apply it and see whether you get the correct answer or not. Okay, angle properties of circles, fairly easy question. ADB, angle at the center will be half the angle at the circumference. No need to write down the property. So this will be 35. BCD. BCD, this angle, if you cannot think of a property, if you cannot identify the property, then think of a property and see if you can apply that. So this is a cyclic quadrilateral. Achha, the problem is that we know that it's a cyclic quadrilateral. We know this angle will be 180 minus this angle, but we don't have a part of this angle. So we can work it out. So how many marks is this? It's 2 marks. So you have to show your working. Okay, now what working is it that you're going to show? Here it is. So you will basically do 180 minus 70 divided by 2. So 180 minus 70 is 110 divided by 2. That's equal to what? That's equal to 55. Okay. So angle OAB is equals to 55 degrees. Okay. Then you will find out the final answer. So 55 plus 25, that's 60. 60 plus 20, that's 80. So 180 minus 80, what's that equal to? That's equal to 100. ठीक हो गया. Factorize means that you introduce the bracket. You have to do that by middle term breaking. Please do a bit of trial and error. ठीक है, कोई आपको एग्जामिनर आपके घर नहीं आएगा कॉन्ग्रेचुलेट करने अगर आपने डायरेक्टली कर लिया. डायरेक्टली करोगे you'll probably not get marks. Do a bit of trial and error, find out the relevant terms, and then do middle term breaking. So the relevant terms are basically 8x and minus 3x. ठीक है, I have a detailed video on this in case you're struggling. You can watch that. So first, fix the power, turn it. Or you can, it's actually first fix the power, make it positive, take the reciprocal, so you have x power 6 upon 16. Take it, then take the square root of it, so that's going to be x cubed upon 4. Easy marks. Okay. A bag contains these 9 letter tiles. Noor takes one tile from the bag at random. She notes the letter and then puts the tile back into the bag. Find out the probability that she does not take the letter E. So there are 9 tiles, right? Of the 9, how many are E's? There are 2 E's. So that means the remaining 7 are not E's. So 7 over 9 will be the answer. Noor now takes 2 of the 9 letters at random without replacement. Find the probability that the both tiles show the same letter. Now, how many ways can you get the same letter? So you have 2 S's, you have 3 S's, and you have 2 E's. Any other letter that's repeating? No, don't think so. Let me check. So S हो सकता है, ठीक है, or it could be E. Anything else? No. So what's the probability of taking an S? There are 3 S's from a total of 9. What's the probability of taking another S? So that would be 2 upon 8 because it's without replacement. Then 2 E's. So that would be 2 upon 9 multiplied by 1 upon 8. Yeah. Make sure to read the question carefully. If the question is asking you to give the answer in its simplest form, do that. If the question is silent, then leave it however way you want. Okay, the diagram shows the major sector of a circle with center O and radius 3. Calculate the area of the sector. So area of the sector, so first you'll subtract 380 from 360, that's 320. So 320 upon 360 multiplied by pi, radius is given in the question, 3 square is equals to k pi. Pi and pi cancel. देखो paper one में non-calculator paper में if it's giving you a mensuration question, it's designed to be done without a calculator. So cross multiply, solve for the value of x, simple. Take LCM, and solve. Remember to be careful, especially when you're doing minus 5 into x minus 2. Acha, this question, I have solved this question in detail. So मैं आपको recommend करूँगा कि जो vectors वाली stream है आप वो देख लें. मैंने इस question को detail में solve किया हुआ है. अभी मैं आपको इस question का run through दे देता हूँ. ठीक है. So basically the problem in this question is this question. ठीक है. इस question में काफ़ी debate है. और I've consulted with many teachers, including Sir Zain and Sir Ahmed Saya, who was my teacher. There is no easier way to do this. इसको करने का एक मुश्किल ही तरीका है, and they're not similar triangles, so you have to use half AB sines. Okay, let's see. Let me solve it again so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So OA and OP are in the ratio 1:4, so that means this is 4A and AP is 3A. Okay, OC and CR are in the ratio 2:3. So for this, what we'll have to do is, इसको ऐसे लिखते हैं, OC and CR are in the ratio 2:3. So since OC is C, okay, we don't know what CR is. That's equal to 2/3. So let's cross multiply. CR is equals to 3/2C. So if CR is equals to 3/2C, so that means C plus 3/2C will be equal to OR. And what's OR equal to? That's equal to 5/2C. Find CQ as simply as possible in terms of A and C. So how will you go from C to Q? So you will do 3/2C, okay, so from C to R, and then from R to Q, which is basically equal to 4A. There you go, 3/2C plus 4A. Okay, so for the most part, it's an easy question, but वो एक part ने आके ना सारा काम खराब कर दिया. So 3/2C plus 4A. Now, find the ratio of the area of OABC is to the area of OPQR. Now they're not similar, because if they were similar, they would be in the same ratio. Okay, so because they're not similar, we cannot use A1/A2 the whole thing squared. Okay, so we really have to think outside the box, and let's see how this can be done. अच्छा, इसकी examiner report भी ना हमें ज़्यादा lift नहीं कराती. वो I think it's one of those questions. कुछ questions होते हैं, in my opinion, that I think the examiners also later on realize what they've done. And which is why, they just tend to ignore it. Like, for example, here, they don't mention you what the correct way is. You know how they did in standard form. Here they say this part was found to be challenging even for the most able candidates. An answer of 1:16 was often given from this use. The other most common answer was 2:25 from the use of this. So they're both wrong. Okay, now look at the amount of detail. They haven't given a lot of detail. Okay, compared to if you look at any other examiner report, they will tell you how it is that you're supposed to do it. Okay, so I think it's one of those questions where the examiner later realized what he or she has done and hopefully regretted it. Okay, so here's how this is done. Find the ratio of the area of OABC. Nobody here knows how to calculate the area of a parallelogram. If you do, that's great, but it's not something that we learn too often. So what we have to do is we have to break it down into familiar shapes. So what better than a triangle? So if I calculate the area of a triangle, okay, and then double it, I'll have the area of the parallelogram. So that means for OABC, it will be half into A into C into sine theta. Why is that? Half into A into C into sine theta? Because this is one length, this is the other length, and the angle in between these two lengths is theta, so sine theta. Also, don't forget that because it's a parallelogram, we have two identical triangles, so we'll multiply it by 2. Then let's talk about the other triangle, the other parallelogram, which is the big one. इसको भी हम divide करते हैं into two triangles. This will be 5/2C, and this is 4A. Okay, we've already worked this 5/2C out in the previous part. So that means half into 5/2C. Okay, so I'll write it here, 5/2C into, 5/2 into 4A. Okay, and here also we have two of these. Okay, just in case you guys don't know what I'm doing, so here's what I'm doing basically. I've divided this into two identical triangles. Okay, and we're multiplying this by 2 because we have the same one on the other side also. Okay, and don't forget into sine theta. Because इसका भी जो angle होगा वो theta ही होगा. Okay, both these एक एहसान ये क्या उन्होंने हम पे कि दोनों पैरेललोग्राम्स का एंगल कम से कम कॉमन कर दिया. Okay, so 2 and 2 cancel, sin theta and sin theta cancel, a and a cancel, c and c cancel, half and half cancel. Okay, everything basically cancels. What you're left with is basically 1 upon 5 upon 2, which simplifies to 2 upon 5. No, wait a minute. Oh yeah, don't forget the 4. So 2 upon, so basically what you're left with, 1 upon 5 upon 2 into 4. So 2 1s are, 2 2s are, so this simplifies to 1 upon 10. So the answer is 1:10. ठीक है, अब इसको करने का यही तरीका है. You guys are very welcome to look for shortcuts, but nobody has been able to figure it out. And it doesn't, I agree, it doesn't make sense for 1 mark, but that's how it is. Okay, so no need to sit and argue over this one question. It is what it is. It's best to move on and focus on the rest of the stuff. ठीक है, अच्छा, अब एक काम करते हैं. Let's take a break here. I will enable the chat just to get the pulse कि क्या चल रहा है आप लोगों के साथ. Please don't ask me to teach a certain topic. I can't do that. However, I'm pretty sure there's a video which you can watch. Tracing paper will be provided. I've talked about this multiple times. So I almost flew in the sky. So how much could 160 over 200 get? Depends on the threshold. ठीक है, देखो, please stop worrying about the threshold. ये कितने marks की aim करूँ, कितने marks का वो करूँ, it's irrelevant. ठीक है, it's irrelevant. ये कोई आप cricket match नहीं खेल रहे हैं कि आप एक certain runs mind में रखें कितने runs हमने बनाने. No. So what you have to do is you have to get as many marks as possible. Simple. Sir, is the February-March paper really hard? No, actually it's not. We are going to solve the February-March paper. Okay, I'll show you guys that it's actually not that difficult. How long is the break? It's 5:47. 6 o'clock पे वापस मिलते हैं. क्या ख्याल है? So you can use completing the square even if it's... Yeah, you can use... Although I think that's very brave of you, Barisha, that you're going to use completing the square instead of factorizing. But देखो, factorizing... Completing the square हम use करते हैं solve करने के लिए या turning point निकालने के लिए. Factorizing basically means that you have to do middle term breaking. Okay, but if the question is asking you to solve a quadratic equation and you have the option of either doing it by factorizing or doing it by completing square, then you can do it by completing square. No, I'm not an examiner. I am not an examiner myself. Sir, आपको क्या लगता है threshold होगा? बेटा मैं आपको कैसे बताऊं, मैं थ्रेशोल्ड नहीं बता सकता. थ्रेशोल्ड पेपर देखे बगैर मैं थ्रेशोल्ड कैसे बता दूं? दैट्स लाइक मैं हमेशा सोचता हूँ इसकी कोई एग्जांपल सोचूंगा लेकिन समझ नहीं आती कि थ्रेशोल्ड का मुझसे पूछना बिफोर लुकिंग एट द क्वेश्चन पेपर इज ओके. I'll think of an example. Sir, can we split this parallelogram and solve? That's what I did. I split the parallelogram and solved. AC upon 10 AC. अच्छा अरुण, आप किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? Sir, I think मुझे कुछ नहीं आता. एग्ज़ाम से पहले ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ नहीं आता. ठीक है, मैं काम करता हूँ, मैं ये ख़तरनाक क्वेश्चन हटा देता हूँ आप लोगों के सामने से एंड इंस्टेड मैं कोई आसान सा क्वेश्चन रख देता हूँ. चलिए ये सही है. अच्छा, let's take a break. It's 5:49. Let's take a 10-minute break. ठीक है, and we'll reconnect after 10 minutes. जवाब दे दें, किस चीज़ का जवाब दे दें बेटा? मैं कहाँ ढूंढूँ? आपने क्या बोला है? आपने पूछा क्या था? When is the next stream? Next stream इंशाल्लाह Friday को रखें. क्या ख्याल है? Let's keep a stream on Friday. Okay, there you go. We'll reconnect, inshallah, after 10 minutes. ठीक है, दिख रहा है आप लोगों को? सर आप हमें दुआ में याद, जी जी बिल्कुल याद रखूँगा, आप भी मुझे याद रखिएगा, ठीक है? मैं तो याद रखूँगा ही, आप भी प्लीज़ याद रखिएगा. So, see you guys after 10 minutes. See you at 6 p.m. ठीक है? Okay, fellas, welcome back. अच्छा, so where were we? अच्छा, ये पेपर हम सॉल्व कर चुके थे. So you did question 23 wrong. Did I? Question 23. Oh yeah, it's not 320. It's not 320, huh? So 320 nahi hoga. You're right. It's going to be 360 minus 320. What's that? 360 minus 320 is 280. Yeah. ठीक है. Yeah, this is the same for IGCSE. Also, sir, the questions you cancelled out on the notes in your website, they're not part of the syllabus anymore. Yeah, probably because of that. Probably that's the reason why I cancelled them out. Anyway, अच्छा, how about we do the February March 2025 paper? IGCSE वाले भी ज़रा थोड़ा खुश हो जाएंगे, कहेंगे हमें तो लिफ्ट ही नहीं करा रहे. And the reason why I'm not doing IGCSE paper 2s, although we will be doing IGCSE paper 4s, because I've said this time and again that IGCSE papers have become slightly irrelevant because the format has changed, and the format is now the same as O-level math paper 1. But inshallah, जब paper 2 का time आएगा, so we will be solving IGCSE paper 4s for practice. ठीक है. अच्छा, अब मैं ज़रा February March का paper निकाल लूँ. उसके लिए I'm just going to hide my iPad screen for a little so I can just remove the barcodes. So I don't know, for some reason I think they are able to track it because of the barcodes. So let me just remove that. फिर हम solve कर लेंगे, कोई टेंशन की बात नहीं है. Just a minute. Okay, so I'll remove the barcodes as we go along. ठहरो, बस शुरू के पेजेस के हटा दूँ और okay, here we go. So this is the February March 2025 paper. ठीक है. अच्छा, इसका भी हम run through करेंगे. Please don't expect me to do a detailed solution of this. इसका भी हम run through करेंगे. Okay, so I am going to say how many square roots should we memorize? 1 to 20, and cube roots from 1 to 10. Oh, sorry, it was squares from 1 to 20 and cubes from 1 to 10. ठीक है. अच्छा, अब इसका एक run through करते हैं. सही है. So oranges cost 220 rupees per kilogram. Work out the cost of 9 kgs of these oranges. अच्छा एक मिनट और देना, मैं अपने सामने एक चीज़ और रख लूँ. Just a minute. Okay, so oranges cost 220 rupees per kilogram. Work out the cost of 9 kg. So very simple. एक आप वो बनाएं column for kg, एक आप column बनाएं for rupees. So kg and rupees. So 1 kg is 220 and 9 kg will be equal to x. Cross multiply, get the answer. Aryan goes on a journey. He leaves home at 11:40 and arrives at 14:18. How many hours and minutes he took? Once again, very simple. ठीक है, बस ये ख्याल रखना कि टाइम को सब्ट्रैक्ट करते हुए when the minutes that you're subtracting are greater than the minutes you have to subtract from, there's a way to deal with that. So you decrease the hours by 1, you increase the hours by 60, so that means you have 1378, from which you now have to subtract 1140. So this is 8 minus 0, that's 8, 7 minus 4 is 3, and 13 minus 11, that's equal to 2. Okay, so 2 hours and 38 minutes. A quadrilateral has one line of symmetry. The diagonals of the quadrilaterals cross at right angles. So this is something that is tested very often. ये basically kite है. Kite मुझे लगता है examiner को बहुत पसंद है, तो घुमा घुमा के ना kite पे बात लेकर आता है. Okay. Then you have algebraic manipulation. So in algebraic manipulation, you're given the value of v, which is equal to 4mp square. You're supposed to find out the value of m. V when m is 10 and p is minus 3. So just plug in the values, you'll get the answer. So then the question says find the positive value. So learn to take hints from the question. Why is the question asking you to find out the positive value? Reason is because probably when you solve it, you will get more than one answer. Okay, and when does that happen? That usually happens when either you end up with a quadratic equation or maybe basically when you have a square. So you're given the value of v, which is 3200, which is equal to 4 times 2 p square. So p square is equals to 3200 upon 8, which is equal to 8 fours are 32, so 400. Remember, you'll get two answers. You're only supposed to give the positive value. Okay, question number 5. Write these lengths in order of size, starting with the smallest. So you can write down, so you can be careful. ये नहीं कि आपने देखा कि oh millimeter है, millimeter has got to be the smallest. No, convert all of them into the same unit. My advice would be to convert all of them to centimeter, because centimeter is a unit that's somewhere in the middle. So converting them into centimeter would be easy. I mean, you can convert them into whatever unit you like. I think centimeter would be the best approach. So do that, and yeah, you'll be able to solve this question, inshallah. So ये हो जाएगा आपका 3 centimeter. This is going to remain 2.9 centimeter. This will be 3.2. This you will multiply by 1000 to convert it into meter. Then you will multiply by 100 to convert it to centimeter. So move the decimal 5 places towards the right, and you'll see what you end up with. And when you're placing them, remember to place the actual value, not the converted value, the actual value. Okay, work out the area of the trapezium. Pretty straightforward. Identify the parallel lengths. So because these two angles are 90 degrees, these two lengths are going to be parallel, and the height is going to be equal to 8. Okay, write down the inequality for x represented on the number line. So x is lesser than or equal to 4, greater than minus 3. Why lesser than or equal to? Because this is shaded. And why less than? Because this circle is a hollow circle. ठीक हो गया? अच्छा, whoopsie, barcode आ गया. Okay, so relative frequency. Relative frequency, Priyanka plays a game in which she can win, lose, or draw. The table shows the probability of her winning or losing the game. So what would be the probability of draw? Simply do 1 minus 0.3 minus 0.25. So 0.3 plus 0.25 is 0.55. So 0.45 is the answer. Okay, Priyanka plays this game 120 times. Work out the number of times that she wins. So 120 multiplied by 0.3, which is equal to what? 40? Is that 40? No, 120 times 3, that's 36. Sorry, 36. Okay, by writing each number correct to one significant figure, work out an estimate for t. So 1.95 correct to one significant figure will be 2. 9.92 correct to one significant figure will be 10. 8.07 correct to one significant figure will be 8. Don't forget the square. Okay, and work this out. You will get the answer. ठीक हो गया? Okay, now. अच्छा, फिर barcode आ गया यार. Okay, now let's see what this is. This was an interesting question. 3 polygons A, B, and C meet at a point. The interior angles of the polygons are in the ratio A is to B is to C. Show that the polygon C has twice the number of sides as polygon B. Okay, and how many marks is this? It's a 5-mark question. Okay, so be prepared for a decent amount of working, and look at you're given the rest of the page to do the working. Okay? Acha. One thing to keep in mind is that the sum of all these angles will be equal to what? Will be equal to 360. Why? Because they make a circle. So A plus B plus C is equals to 360. So that means the sum of these ratios, or with their actual values added up, is equal to what? Is equal to 360. Now, whenever the question is asking you to show something, you're not going to take that, you're not going to incorporate that into your solution. You will show it towards the end. Okay? So what we have to do is we have to show that polygon C has twice the number of sides as polygon B. So let's find out the number of sides that polygon B has. ठीक है, अब B पे focus करते हैं. So this is the angle for polygon A, this is the angle for polygon B, this is the angle for polygon C. Okay? So if we're focusing on B, remember, how do we find out each interior angle? Acha, or A, B, or C क्या है? Do also keep that in mind. A, B, and C are basically the interior angles of each polygon, meaning that there may be some polygon here. I don't know which one it is. There's got to be some polygon here. Doesn't matter which one it is. And they are regular polygons also. Oh, sorry, they're not. Yeah, they're regular polygons. The 3 polygons are regular polygons. So each interior angle, there's a formula for it, is basically n minus 2 into 180 upon n. Okay, this is the formula. Now the question is, what will be the angle of B? So the angle of B is basically 4 parts. Okay, and the sum is 360. 4 out of how many parts? 4 out of 12 parts, where the sum is 360. So if I want to find out each interior angle, I will do 4 upon 12 times 360. Okay, so 3 is to 4 is to 5 is basically the ratio of the interior angles. So let's work this out. 12 ones are 12, 12 threes are 36, 0 as it is, 4 times 30, that's equal to what? That's equal to 120. Okay, now if each interior angle is 120, that means n minus 2 into 180 upon n is equals to 120. Let's use this. Let's solve this equation to find out the number of sides. So 180n minus 360 is equals to 120n. 180 minus 120, that's 60n. So 60n is equals to 360, which means n is equals to 6. So number of sides that polygon B has is equals to 6. Now just like that, let's focus on polygon C. Polygon C के कितने sides आने चाहिए? Chat disabled है, I know, but say it to yourself. इसके double आने चाहिए. Okay, twice the number of sides as polygon B, which is basically 12. Okay, so if it's 12, we've done it correctly. If it's not 12, we've done something wrong. So we're going to use the same formula. First, let's find out each interior angle of polygon C. So that would be 5 upon 12 into 360. So 12 ones are 12, 12 threes are 36, 0 as it is, 5 times 3, that's equal to 150. So what are the number of sides of a polygon which has each interior angle as 150? Let's work that out. So n minus 2 into 180 upon n. If this is equal to 150, let's see what do we get. So you get 180n minus 360 is equals to 150n, which means 30n is equals to 360, which means n is equals to 12. अब ये नहीं कि आप यहाँ पे बस इसको लावारिस छोड़ दें कि बस खत्म, job done. No. You have to make a statement. It's a show question, so you have to make a statement. You have to make a concluding statement, final remarks that this is, that so-and-so, that we've basically proved so-and-so. So you will say that polygon C, okay, polygon C has 12 sides, which is twice the number of sides as polygon B. ठीक है, एक इस तरह का statement is just the final, you know how we say final nail in the coffin. So making a statement like this is very important. Okay, so that the examiner knows that you've done all the relevant working to reach the conclusion that you were supposed to, and they're looking for it. Okay, so a final statement, final remark is very important, which basically is related to what the question says. ठीक है? अच्छा. Now let's solve another question. अच्छा, अब ये क्वेश्चन भी ज़रा थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट है, तो इसका ये मतलब नहीं कि अब आप अपने टीचर को जो है वो उल्टा सीधा कहना शुरू कर दें कि ये क्या, हमें तो ये कराया नहीं. ठीक है? सो रिमेंबर, योर टीचर प्रॉब्ली अज्यूम्ड दैट you have enough common sense to be able to figure this out when you get a question like this. ठीक है? And I'll show you. So this is basically a bar chart. This is a dual bar chart. Okay, a bar chart which represents two pieces of information. So let's read the question. A company sells items either on a website or in shops. The composite bar chart, okay, it's a composite bar chart, shows the percentage of sales on the website and in shops for January, February, and March. So the ones that you see shaded are basically representing the number of sales in or through the website, and the unshaded one is basically representing the number of sale in shops. Okay, so it's like, let's say you're running, okay, let me think of an example. कोई ब्रांड ले लेते हैं पाकिस्तान की, let's say खाड़ी. ठीक है? तो अब खाड़ी की कुछ सेल्स होंगी जो ऑनलाइन होती होंगी, कुछ सेल्स होती होंगी जो ऑन साइट होती होंगी. ठीक है? जैसे जो ऑनलाइन होती हैं वो वेबसाइट के थ्रू होती हैं, जो ऑन साइट होती हैं दैट कुड बी इन मल्टीपल शॉप्स. ओके, सो दैट्स बेसिकली व्हाट दे हैव डन. दे हैव यूज्ड अ composite bar chart to represent the number of sales that have taken place on website and number of sales that has taken place in the shop. Now, if you want to calculate the number of sale on website for any month, so the corresponding value of the bar chart will give you that. So this is 44. But if you want to calculate the sale on the percentage sale for any month in shops, then here's what you will have to do. From 100, you will have to subtract this. So that will give you 100 minus 44. What's that equal to? That's equal to 56. Yeah, so that's basically 56. Similarly, this is 60. So that means 60% of the sales have come from website and 40% of the sales must have come from shops. Okay, so that's how it works. No need to lose your mind over it. It's very simple. Just use your common sense. In April, 17/20th of the company's sale were on the website. So what month are we talking about? We're talking about April, and the question says that 17/20th. So let's find out what percentage is this. So 17 upon 20 multiplied by 100, 21s are 20, 25s are 100, 17 times 5, what's that equal to? That's equal to 85. So that means the bar that we're going to draw for the month of April, we will show that 85% of the sales has happened on the website. So 85, that means somewhere over here, perhaps somewhere between, in fact not somewhere, exactly between 80 and 90. So please don't be too casual कि 85 कौन भी करे तो चलो इसको 84 या 86 बना देता हूँ या बना देती हूँ. Don't do that. Okay, so this is basically the sale that has happened on the website. Website ही था ना, shop तो नहीं था. हाँ, ठीक है. And that means the remaining portion is in shop. Now the question is, how will you distinguish? They have distinguished by shading. How will you distinguish? So no problem, you will also distinguish by shading. There you go. Okay. अब ये नहीं कि आप बिल्कुल एग्जैक्ट उस कलर का शेड करें और उस तरह से शेड करें जिस तरह से क्वेश्चन में हुआ हुआ है. ठीक है, इतना टाइम आपके पास नहीं है, ना एग्जामिनर के आपसे इतनी हाई एक्सपेक्टेशंस हैं. आप बस शेड करके इसको डिस्टिंग्विश कर दें. ठीक है, या आपका बहुत ही पेपर में आपके पास फारिग टाइम है तो आप ये करें कि आप इसको ऐसे पेंसिल से कलर कर दें. ठीक है, बट मेरा आपको मशवरा ये हरगिज़ नहीं होगा कि यू डू दिस. दैट इज़ if you have a lot of time left in the paper and you don't have anything else to do, so only then do that. Okay, simple. All right, in February the company had sales of 3.5 million. Okay, so 3.5 is what? 3.5 is basically the total. Read the question. The question says that these are the sales. That means this probably includes website and shops. Work out the value of sales in shops in February. So in February we see that 40% of the sale has happened in shops. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to find out 40% of the total, which means 40% of 3.5 million. So in short, 40 upon 100 into 3.5. So we cross this out. So ultimately what we have to do is 0.4 into 3.5. So you know the rules. Do 35 times 4. What's that equal to? 20. 4 times 3 is 12. That's 140. Now what is 140 if we move the decimal 2 places towards the left? So that's 1.4. Okay, and we have to give the answer in million, so don't write million with 6 zeros. Okay, just keep million in million only. Okay, now, in May, the company had $6 million, sales of $6 million. In June, the company had 7.5. Find the percentage increase in sales. So simple, you find out the difference, 7.5 minus 6 over 6 multiplied by 100. That's your answer. Okay. Acha, I will solve this because you will get a recurring decimal. No, 1.5 upon 6. If you do get a recurring decimal, then my advice to you is that you write it in fraction. Okay, in fraction, and if you're writing it as a recurring decimal, make sure that you show clearly that it's a recurring decimal with a dot. Achha, in 2024, the company had total sales of 52 million. This was an increase of 30%. So that means this is after 30% increase, which means this is basically 130%. So you make a column for percentage, you make a column for sales. So 130% is equals to 52 million. Now you want the sales in 2023, which is basically the original value, which is 100, which is X. Cross multiply, get the answer. Easy, take the LCM, which is going to be 12, solve. Factorize. Now before you factorize, you will have to first expand and simplify, and then, or maybe not. So you have 3x into a plus 4y as it is. And here you can take minus y common, which will give you a plus 4y immediately. And you have 3x minus y into a plus 4y as your answer. Okay. Okay. The diagram shows a cylinder with radius r. Achha, barcode to hata दूं. Okay. So the diagram shows a cylinder with radius r and height 16. A sphere has radius 3 centimeter. The volume of the cylinder is equal to the volume of the sphere. Calculate the value of r. So a mensuration question in a non-calculator paper, meaning that it's supposed to be done without a calculator. So cylinder ki volume kya hai? Pi r square h. So pi r square times h is equal to the volume of the cylinder, is equal to the volume of the sphere. So 4 upon 3 pi, and the sphere has radius 3. So 3 cube. And see, it's a non-calculator question, which means it can be done without a calculator. So pi and pi cancel. You can be a little smart. You can cross out the 3, decrease the power here by 1. So 16r square is equals to 3 square, which is 9. R square is equals to 9 upon... R square is equals to... No, wait a minute. Yeah. So 4 ones are 4, 4 fours are 16. 4r square is equals to 9, which means r square is equals to 9 upon 4, which means r is equals to, although plus minus 3 upon 2, but this is the radius, so we'll write it as 3 upon 2 only. Okay? Or you can write it as decimal also. Okay. All right, let's solve this question. I think this is an interesting question. Let's see how we can do this. It says A, B, C, D, and E lie on a circle. FG is a tangent to the circle. Angle BAD, acha, FG is a tangent. So let's recall that. Acha, FG is a tangent to the circle at C. Angle BAD is 110. There you go. Angle ADB is 20. There you go. And angle BEC is 45. So there you go. Find angle BCD. Give a geometrical reason for your answer. Okay, so BCD is what? BCD is this angle. And what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with a cyclic quadrilateral. So that means 180 minus 110, which is equal to 70 degrees. And why is that? You will say, you're given two lines, B to the point, and get B specific and to the point. ABCD is a cyclic quadrilateral. Therefore, opposite angles are supplementary. Okay, so because the question is asking for reasoning, that's why we're giving it. Find angle DBC. Okay, DBC is this angle. DBC is this angle. Now, what's this angle going to be equal to? Let's put some thought into it. So this is 70. I don't know if this is going to help, but let's put some thought into it and see if we can figure it out. So properties ka sochte hain if we can apply the same segment property. Let's see if that's possible. It's a 2-mark question, so that means there's got to be some extra working. Now let's focus on the angles that we can find. Okay, so for example, this is same segment. Okay, remember ye wo Spider-Man तो मेरे ज़माने में जो स्पाइडरमैन होता था, रेट्रो स्पाइडरमैन, basically had a pointed mask. Okay, not the kind that it does now. So we used to call this property the Spider-Man property. That's not what its official name is, okay? But it would just make it easier for us to remember. So if this angle is 45, this angle will also be 45. Okay. Now, if this is 45, okay, so let's write this down. Okay, angle BDC is equal to 45 degrees. That means, अब ये property हो सकता है कुछ लोगों को याद ना हो, circle properties की videos देख लें, पता चल जाएगा. It's not tested very often. So this property is called the alternate segment property. So if you have an angle at the circumference, then the angle that the chord makes with the tangent opposite to it, okay, or the angle the tangent makes with the chord opposite to it, will also be equal to 45. Okay, so this will also be equal to 45. All right, I repeat. So if you have, let's say, a triangle, okay, and you have an angle at the circumference, so the angle that the chord opposite to it makes with the tangent will also be 45. Okay? This is basically a property called alternate segment. Achha, for that reason, what we can do is, let's write this down. So angle BDC is equals to 45, which means angle FCB is also equal to 45. Now I know आप लोग बेचैन हो रहे होंगे, शायद you maybe have figured out an easy way, but I don't think there is any. Okay, so let's solve it. Maybe later on we're able to figure out an easy way, but right now let's just solve it as it is. Okay, so how about we now find out this angle, because it's a straight line, so we can find out this angle by doing 180 minus 70 minus 45. So 180 minus 70 is 110. 110 minus 45 is equals to 65. Here's the thing. Now we have to use the same property. So you have an angle at the circumference, okay? There is a chord opposite to it, and the tangent will make the same angle with the chord. So that means this angle must also be equal to 65 degrees. Okay, so we'll mention that. We have an angle GCD is equal to angle DBC, the angle that we're supposed to find. Angle DBC, which is equal to 65 degrees. Okay, now if there's an easier way and you figure it out, that's great. Okay. Let me think if there is. Okay, so 45. Achha, okay. I just realized. ठीक है. So I know आप लोग सोच रहे होंगे. So हमें ये सब करने की ज़रूरत नहीं थी. Once you figure out this 45, and since we've already figured out this 70, then you can do it directly. ठीक है. I think मैंने आगे वाला part solve कर दिया. Okay. So anyway, I'll explain this part again. I'll explain part B again. But इसी बहाने चलो हो सकता है आपको कोई property याद हो गई होगा. So here, this is 45. ठीक है. This is 70. So the angle that you're supposed to find DBC, you can do that directly. Okay. As for remember, 45 is due to same segment, so make sure to write that down. Angle BDC is equals to angle BEC, which is equal to 45 degrees. Okay. So just remember to write that down. And what's the reason? The reason is same segment. Sawal pooch nahi raha, but it's best that you write it because it's a 2-mark question. And then what you have to do is 180 minus 45 minus 70, which is equal to 65 degrees. Okay. Now, Achha, so we worked this out. This is 65. Now, find angle DGC. Okay, DGC. DGC is this angle. And what's this angle going to be equal to? So here we have an angle. We have the chord opposite to it. Okay, we have an angle. At the circumference, we have the chord opposite to it. The angle that the tangent will make with the chord will also be equal to 65 degrees. Okay, so watch my video. There's a class recording, as in a physical class that I'm teaching, in which I've shown this property using an app also. So you will be able to understand it better, inshallah. Okay, point A has coordinates so and so, and you're given BA. Find the coordinates of point B. Okay, how do we find out the coordinates of point B? We need to first come up with a relevant rule which will give us coordinates of point B. So maybe we can do OB plus BA, which will give us OA. Okay, so we have BA, we have OA. Time to just put it all together. OB plus BA, which is basically minus 5 minus 12 is equals to OA, which is basically minus 4 and 1. Okay, now you shift this across. So you have minus 4 and 1 minus minus 5 and minus 12. So minus 4 minus minus 5 will become minus 4 plus 5. So that's 1. 1 minus minus 12 is equal to 13. Okay, point C has coordinates 5, 2. Find out vector CA. So if you want CA, remember the rule is OA minus OC. Okay, so you have the coordinates of A, you have the coordinates of C, just put it together. Okay, EF is equals to 3 times of BA. So all you have to do is find out the magnitude of BA. Okay, so how will you find out the magnitude of BA? That will be equal to square root of 5 squared plus 12 squared. Minus 5 obviously, but will become irrelevant. So minus 5 squared is 25. 12 minus 12 squared is 144. So 25 plus 144 is 169. Square root of which is 13. But you want the magnitude of EF. So if it's 3 times of BA, so its magnitude will also be 3 times of BA. So 3 times 13, which is equal to 39. ठीक हो गया? There you go. Okay, now, so this is stem and leaf. So stem and leaf is in IGCSE only. I will explain this, but I will solve this towards the end. First, I'll solve all the O-level papers and O-level questions, O-level and IGCSE common, and this I'll explain towards the end. Okay? Achha, now, in this, there was an interesting recurring decimal to fraction question. And this is the last paper that we're discussing because meri AS ki bhi stream hai at 7. So I need to wrap things up before that. So work out 5 upon 9 plus 0.28. Give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. So notice how many marks this is. This is 4 marks. So something really to look forward to is having a 4-mark question of recurring decimal. Okay. And the reason why it's a 4 mark is because of this additional step. When converting 0.28 into a fraction is no big deal. So here's what 0.28 with the dot basically means. It means 0.28888 and the 8s will continue forever. So we're going to say, okay, let x be equal to 0.2888 dot dot dot. Now, what is the recurring pattern? The recurring pattern is of 8. So that means now we need to come up with 2 numbers which upon subtraction, with 2 numbers that have the same recurring pattern, and upon subtraction, the recurring part gets eliminated. Okay, so here's what we can do. Let's find out 10x. So 10x would be equal to 2.8888. ठीक हो गया? Let's find out 100x, which will be equal to 28.888. Okay, now both these have the same recurring pattern, so that means now I'm going to subtract the 2. I will write it nicely. 100x minus 10x, which basically means 28.888 minus 2.888. Okay, upon subtraction, the 888 gets eliminated, not by coincidence, but by design. And what you're left with is 26. And what's this equal to? This is basically 90x. So that means if 90x is equals to 26, then x is equals to 26 upon 90. And then what you can do is you can take the LCM and add. You can simplify it and then take the LCM, or you can do it as it is. I would suggest do it as it is because 9 and 90 ki LCM is already in front of us. That's 90. Okay, and don't forget to give your answer in its simplest form. So you multiply this by 10, you multiply this by 10, so that's 50. 50 plus 26, that's equal to 76 upon 90. And this you can simplify. You can simplify using the table of 2. So 2 3s are 6, 1 carry, 38, and 2 45s are 90. So 38 upon 45 is the final answer. There you go. Okay, now show that CD is equals to 10 centimeter. I think now this also some would say is IGCSE only, but I don't know why I have this feeling that they might, that it's best O-level students also learn how to also memorize the values of sine, cos, tan, 30, 60, 0, 30, 60, 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. Okay, so just to be on the safe side. Officially, yes, it's only part of IGCSE, but just to be on the safe side, I've advised O-level students also to memorize it. Okay, so we're supposed to show that CD is equals to 10 centimeter. Although in this part, you may not have to use that. So this is 6, okay? And I think you will have to use it in this part. How many marks is this? Yeah, it's a 5-mark question, so we will definitely have to use it. So what I can do is, what I'm going to do is, in fact, I'm going to find out AB, which is the adjacent side of triangle ABE. Okay, so cos, and the side that we have is the hypotenuse side. So cos 60 is equals to adjacent over hypotenuse. So what's cos 60 equal to? Cos 60 is equals to half, something that you're supposed to memorize. Now cross multiply, so you'll have the length of AB, which is equal to 9 centimeters. So if AB is 9 centimeter, that means BC is 17 minus 9, which is 8 centimeter. Okay, so BC is equals to 8 centimeter. And now to find CD, all you have to do is use Pythagoras theorem. So square root of 6 squared plus 8 squared, 6 squared is 36, 8 squared is 64, sum of which is 100, and CD is in fact equal to 10 centimeter. There you go. Achha, then the question says, find the perimeter of the quadrilateral ACDE. So how would you find the perimeter? So this length, which is 17, plus this length. The only length that's missing is basically this length. So there is no way to find out this length directly. Instead, what we can do is we can find out this length and subtract the answer, subtract 6 from the answer. So that's what I'm going to do. So we are considering this entire triangle once again, where we want the opposite length, and we have the hypotenuse length. We also have the adjacent length, but always use the original set of information. So that's 18 along with this angle 60. So sine 60 is equal to the opposite length, which is BE, divide by the hypotenuse length. And what's the hypotenuse? Which is 18. Of what sine 60? If you have the values memorized, I've made a video in which I've made it easy, made the memorization part easy. There's a simple trick for it which you can use. So you know that's root 3 upon 2, and this is 18. So 2 1s are 2, 2 9s are 18. So that means BE is basically equal to 9 under root 3. Okay, now remember, this is 9 under root 3. So that means ED will be equal to 9 under root 3 minus 6. Okay, and you cannot simplify that any further. So let's add them up. So you have 17 plus 18 plus 9 under root 3 minus 6 plus 10. Okay, let me make sure that I haven't missed a length. 17 plus 10 plus 18 plus 9. Yep, that's correct. And then you can give the final answer in its simplest form. Achha, for some reason it's the same question again, so let's go skip karte hain. Achha, shade A union B union C whole complement. So basically you're shading outside of A, B, and C. This is what you're shading. Okay, you can use the numbering method to solve this, no big deal. Simplify root 300 plus root 48. So first of all, rewrite both the numbers as a product of its prime factors, starting with 300, divided by 2, that's 150, divided by 2 again, so that's 75. You can't divide by 2 anymore, so divide by 3, that's 25. Now you know that you will have to divide by 5 twice, okay, till you get 1. So that means square root of 300 can be written as 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. Sorry, 3 is only once. Times 5 times 5. Okay? So we make a pair of 2, we bring it outside. We make a pair of 5, we bring it outside. So 2 times 5, that's equal to 10. So you have 10 under root 3. Now what about root 48? Let's do the same for root 48. So root 48, let's divide by 2. 2 times 24, let's divide by 2 again. 2 times 12, let's divide by 2 again. 2 times 6, let's divide by 2 again. So 2 times 3, let's divide by 3. So that's 1. So that means root 48 can be written as, अच्छा ये जो मैं working कर रहा हूँ ना, honestly it's not ideal. Make sure that the working is done in an appropriate manner. एक कोने में working हो, एक कोने में आपका answer हो, ठीक है? So root 48 is basically 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 4 times 2 and then 3. So we make a pair of 2, we bring it outside. We make another pair of 2, we bring it outside. So that's 2 times 2, which is equal to 4 under root 3. Now, why did we write it like this? So that we can add them. And why can we add them? Because they both have root 3. So it's like 10 apples plus 4 apples. What's that equal to? That's equal to 14 apples. So 14 root 3. Okay, so you can only add, remember, for as long as the term inside the root is the same. Rationalize the denominator and simplify, something I'm expecting to come, because every time there is a topic that's added, it's kind of understood that they will test it. Okay, so I'm not giving like a guess paper or something, I'm just judging the pattern. So 9 times 2 is 18, minus 9 under root 7. So make sure that you understand this concept really well. I have videos on it, you can check it out. So 2 squared minus root 7 squared. So you have 18 minus 9 under root 7, okay, over 2 minus 7, which 4 minus 7 actually, which is equal to minus 3. Now, because the question says simplify, so make sure to simplify. 18 upon minus 3, let's write it separately. 18 upon minus 3 minus 9 under root 7 upon minus 3. So 18 upon minus 3, that's equal to minus 6. Minus 9 minus 3, that's equal to positive 3 under root 7. There you go. Okay. Write down the coordinates of the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So you can simply eyeball it. The y-intercept is minus 3. That means the x-coordinate will be equal to 0. Find the equation of the perpendicular bisectors. So how do you find out the equation of the perpendicular bisector? First, you'll find out the gradient of AB, which means 15 minus 7 over 5 minus 1. Okay, so 15 minus 7 is equals to what? Is equal to 8. 5 minus 1 is equals to 4, so that means it's 2. That means the gradient of the perpendicular bisector will be minus 1 upon 2. Now you need a point through which the line is passing. How will you get that point? You will find out the midpoint. Okay, so midpoint is basically the x-coordinates added, divide by 2, the y-coordinates added, divide by 2. Okay, so point B aa gaya, 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 upon 2 is 3, 7 plus 5 is 22, 22 upon 2 is equals to 11. So you have the gradient, you have the point, put it together, and find the answer. Simple as that. Okay, this is also IGCSE only, and this is also IGCSE only. ठीक है, ये मैं end में कराऊंगा. First, let's do all the common questions. So x squared upon 4 raised to the power 3 upon 2. So x squared raised to the power 3 upon 2 upon 4 raised to the power 3 upon 2. So x squared raised to the power 3 upon 2, so 2 and 2 cancel, that's x cubed. 4 raised to the power 3 upon 2 basically means that we're taking the cube of 4 and then we're taking the square root of it. So you don't have to necessarily do it in that order. You can first take the square root and then cube it. So either way, you will have 8. So x cubed upon 8 is the answer. Yep. Okay, then part B. A question of indices, 16 raised to the power x, so that's going to be 2 raised to the power 4. So if you look at this question, the only way that you will solve is when the base on the left-hand side is equal to the base on the right-hand side. Now 16, half, and 4, it's not a coincidence that you have these terms. They're all basically powers of 2. So 2 power 4, don't forget the x, into 2 power minus 1, don't forget the x, is equals to 2 square raised to the power x plus 3. That means 2 power 4x into 2 power minus x is equals to 2 raised to the power 2x plus 6. So same bases are being multiplied. That means the powers will be added. Now because x comes with a minus sign of its own, so it gets subtracted, but that's not our problem. Is equals to 2 raised to the power 2x plus 6. So we ignore the bases and we compare the powers. So 3x is equals to 2x plus 6. So x is equals to 6. There you go. That's the answer. Okay, so I'll enable the chat now. I will now be solving the IGCSE only questions. Okay, so O-level students, if you guys want to take off, go ahead, you're free to go. There will inshallah be a good luck video on the channel very soon. So make sure to watch it. And I wish you guys the best of luck. Enjoy the paper. Okay, enjoy the paper. Yes, कोई भी proof वाली statement हो, उसमें it's proof वाला question हो, उसमें it's best that you give it, give a statement also. I'm an O-level student, and Sir Zain said you don't have to remember. But he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I've just said it to be on the safe side. Officially, they're not part of your syllabus, so बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं आपके, बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हैं Sir Zain. But मैंने to be on the safe side कहा कि आप लोग memorize कर लो, ठीक है? सर आपने क्वेश्चन 11 में बार ग्राफ गलत ड्रॉ किया है. You think मैंने क्वेश्चन 11 में बार ग्राफ गलत ड्रॉ किया है? It's possible. I had to be extra careful because कोई गलती होती है तो you guys point out. So 85% शो कर दिया. And sale in shops सही तो है. अच्छा, unless आप okay, I think I know what you're saying. मैंने इसकी placement गलत कर दी. आप ये बोल रहे हो? If you're telling me that I placed it incorrectly, yeah, you're right about that. I did place it incorrectly. I didn't notice that. बड़े तेज़ हैं आप लोग यार. I think मुझे भी चश्मों की ज़रूरत है अब. ठीक है, so you're right. If this is what you're talking about, you're absolutely right. Okay. So thank you, whoever pointed this out. Will I host another session tomorrow? I think tomorrow let's take a break. Tomorrow I'll just do some planning as to what it is that I'm going to stream. I need to take mocks. I need to take paper 2 mocks for you guys. And I need to plan कि अब मैं क्या stream करूँ for paper 2. Okay, I'll probably put something on YouTube or Instagram where I'll ask you guys. So make sure to give your input. Okay? So I'm going to solve IGCSE questions only. And here we go. Stem and leaf. The stem and leaf diagram shows the mass of 13 packets. Work out the interquartile range. Okay. Now, finding out the interquartile range of discrete data is something that is a little bit tricky. But here's my advice to you. My advice to you is that do yourself a favor and take the slightly longer approach and make life easy. Simple as that. Okay, so don't use the formula for lower quartile, especially when you have discrete data. Discrete data means when you have individual values. Okay, don't do that. So here's what I would recommend. You write down the values. So 31, 32, 38. Okay, they're not too many. So 13 here. 40, 41, 42, 43. और मैं आपको फिर इसका एक shortcut भी बता दूंगा. As in, you don't really have to write down these values. You can do it directly also. I'll tell you what that is. 51, 52, 53, 54. Okay, so let's see how many values do we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 values. Okay. Now, interquartile range is what? Interquartile is basically upper quartile minus the lower quartile. Okay. Now, what's the center of this data? What is the median of this data, basically? So these are 13 terms. If you want to find out the median, you will do 13 plus 1 upon 2. So that's 14. 14 upon 2 is equals to the 7th term. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here's the 7th term. This is the median. I know we're not asked the median, but what we're doing is this. Whenever you have to find out the lower quartile, think of lower quartile as the median of the first half. Okay, so if you want to find out the lower quartile, don't use that formula, okay, n plus 1 divided by 4 and then n plus 1 divided by 3 into 3 upon 4. Not recommended. Lower quartile is basically the median of the first half of data. Okay, अब इस median से हमें क्या पता चल गया? ये data का first half है. Okay, this is the first half of the data. And this is the second half of the data. If let's say the median turned out to be the average of 2 terms, so you would ignore those 2 terms. Okay, all the terms on the left-hand side of those 2 terms would be the first half. All the terms on the right-hand side of the 2 terms would be the second half. So what's the median of the first half of the data? Once again, you can eyeball it. No need to use the formula. It would be the average of 38 and 40. Okay, so that means the lower quartile is equal to 39. And then what would be the median of the second half of the data? It would be the average of 51 and 2, basically the term that's in the center. So what would be 51 and 52? That would be 51.5. Now you can easily, this is the upper quartile. Okay, it's a 3-mark question, so there's got to be a working. What if it's an even amount of terms? So I already answered that. Then median will be 2 terms. So you will ignore those 2 terms. All the data that's on the left-hand side of those 2 terms will be the first half. All the data that's on the right-hand side of those 2 terms will be the second half. तो first half का median निकालोगे वो lower quartile आ गया. Second half का median निकालोगे वो upper quartile आ गया. Simple as that, really. So the interquartile range is equal to 51.5 minus 39. What's that equal to? That's equal to 12.5. There you go. Okay. Now, 2 of these packets are chosen at random. Find the probability that one packet has a mass of more than 50 grams and the other packet has a mass of less than 50 grams. Okay. So how many more than 50 grams do we have? We have 4. 4 out of 13. So that means the probability of getting more than 50, let's write that down. How many do we have more than 50? Yeah, if there are 2 terms, you add them and divide by 2. Okay, more than 50 is equal to 4. So the probability would be 4 upon 13. Okay, so and what about less than 50? So total 13 hai, more than 54 hai, so less than 50 would be 13 minus 4, which is equal to 9. So less than 50 grams is 9. So let's say that the first one you pick has mass more than 50. Okay, and then the second one that you pick has mass less than 50. So the probability of that would be 9 upon 12. Okay, and because this can happen in any order, you'll multiply it by 2. Why? Because it could be that the first one is more and the second one is less, or it could be that the first one has mass less than 50 grams and the second one has mass more than 50 grams. Okay, so work this out, you'll get the answer, whatever that is equal to. Achha, here there was another differentiation related question, which is IGCSE only. Here it is. A curve has equation so and so, a curve has stationary point so and so, find the coordinates of the other stationary point. Achha, stationary point kaise nikalte hain? Remember, this is IGCSE only. Okay, O-level students, please don't freak out. This is not part of your syllabus. You take dy by dx and you set it equal to 0. So what's dy by dx going to be equal to? Dy by dx will be equal to 3x square plus 2x minus 1. Okay. And when you set this equal to 0, you will have the value of x. Now remember, the question says find the other stationary point. Okay. Other stationary point means that one is already given to you. You have to find out the other one. So 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 is how you differentiate. Now, if you don't know this concept, I'm pretty sure there's a video of it on my channel. Make sure to check it out. So 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals to 0. Let's do middle term breaking. So 3x squared plus 3x minus x minus 1 is equals to 0. So 3x into x plus 1 into minus 1 times x plus 1 is equals to 0. So you have 3x minus 1 into x plus 1 is equals to 0, which means x is equals to 1 upon 3 or x is equals to minus 1. Now 1 upon 3 we can already see, so we don't need to write that down. So the point that we are interested in is basically the one which has x coordinate minus 1. Now how will we find out the y coordinate? For the y coordinate, we're going to plug this in back into the equation. Minus 1 cubed plus minus 1 squared minus minus 1. So y is equals to minus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So y is equals to 1. There you go. Okay. Now, by sketching the graph of y is equals to x cubed plus x squared minus x, determine whether the stationary point 1 upon 3 minus 5 upon 27 is a maximum or a minimum. Okay. अब एक काम करते हैं. Stationary point basically means turning point. Okay, so we have one turning point which is minus 1 comma 1. So that means if this is minus 1, this will probably be somewhere over here. Yeah, in fact, let's leave enough space. Minus 1 is somewhere over here. 1 is probably somewhere over here. Okay, so that means 1 upon 3 will probably be somewhere over here. And minus 5 upon 27 is minus 0 point something. So, we'll just take that to be here somewhere. ठीक है, यहाँ इसको थोड़ा और ऊपर कर देते हैं. थोड़ा और space out कर लेते हैं. ठीक है? Because we don't have a lot of points to deal with. So let's take this as minus 1. This becomes 1. Let's take this as 1. So minus 1, 1. That means it's right here. Okay. And let's, the other point is 1 upon 3 minus 5 upon 27. So somewhere over here is 1 upon 3 and somewhere over here is minus 5 upon 27, the other turning point. Okay. Now I've marked these 2 points. This one and this one. No need to get confused. 1 upon 3 and minus 5 upon 27, that's right here. And minus 1 comma 1, that's basically right here. Achha, what about the y-intercept? How will you find out the y-intercept? Just plug in x equals to 0. So when you plug in x equals to 0, y is equal to 0. So that means this is the third point through which the curve passes. Achha, here are the 3 points that we have. Now, remember, we are drawing a cubic curve, which can either be like this or it can be like this. Now, the question is, what kind of curve can I make sure passes through these points? Is it possible to draw a curve like this? Can I draw a curve like this? No, it's not possible. Okay. It's not possible to draw a curve like ये तो obviously नहीं हो सकता ना. The only kind of curve that we can draw is this. So a curve that turns here and then turns here. There you go. Because a cubic curve like this one has 2 turning points. So this is the only kind of curve that we can draw. Okay, and don't worry about finding the x-intercepts. You're not supposed to do that. You're just supposed to get the stationary points right and the y-intercept right. Okay. Achha, up the question is asking us to identify. Let me draw a slightly neater version of this. So ये एक turning point हो गया. अच्छा, और एक और बात चलो. Let's say you want to identify before you start. Look at the coefficient of x cubed. The coefficient of x cubed is positive. So that means this curve will be a maximum minimum curve. Okay, that's the only curve that you have to draw. So a curve that turns here, has a y-intercept, turns, and there you go. ठीक है? Job done. Okay, so 1 upon 3 minus 5 upon 27 is a minimum point. Okay, this is a minimum point. and this is maximum. Watch my stream on cubic curve sketching if you're unaware of how this works. Acha, the equation so and so has fewer than 3 solutions. Fewer than 3 solutions basically means 3 points of intersection. Okay, fewer than 3 points of intersection. Find the range of possible values of k. So, by the way, this is equal to what? This is equal to the equation of the curve, which means it's equal to y. So y is equals to k. So we're supposed to draw a horizontal line, okay, in such a way that it has less than 3 points of intersection. How can we do that? If I draw a line that's above this turning point, how many solutions, or at this turning point, how many solutions will we have? We will have 2 solutions. Why? Because one is this point of intersection and the other is this point of intersection. So that means, and however, if the line drawn is below it, we'll have 3 solutions. So think of it this way. Think of it this way. इसको मैं ज़रा extend कर दूँ. Okay. So 3 solutions, 3 solutions, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, and slightly above it will be 1 solution. Similarly, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, slightly below it will just be 1. Okay, so that means for as long as we are below this line, we'll have fewer than 3 solutions, and for as long as we are above this line, we will have fewer than 3 solutions. And what does solution mean? Solution basically means point of intersection. Okay, so that means one value of k. Notice the question is asking us to write down the range. One range of k is greater than or equal to 1. The other possible range of k that we will have will be lesser than or equal to minus 5 upon 27. Okay, why? Because for as long as it's below this point, there will be fewer than 3 solutions. For as long as it's above this point, which is 1, there will be fewer than 3 solutions. And I think that's it. We have done a speed run of this paper. Speed run kya, humne pura hi solve kar liya, chalo. And that's it. Job done. So I'll enable the chat. So अब इसको end करते हैं. Okay, so what are your thoughts? My guest paper? No, please no guest paper. I don't do guest papers. Guest papers are just messed up. So if I'm IGCSE student, I've done P1 of O levels for P1. Am I on safe side? Yeah, of course. आपको O levels का IGCSE paper 2 की practice करने के लिए, you should have practiced O level math paper 1 anyway. रोना आ रहा है? क्यों रोना आ रहा है भाई? अभी आप सिर्फ notes go through करना. Okay, abhi just go through the notes. That's what I would recommend. Sir, so what are the things only in O levels for IGCSE students? What do you mean? What are the things only in O levels for IGCSE students? I'm not sure I understand. Sir, is there any kind of work in diagrams by a pencil? Yes, any diagram that you have to draw, please use a pencil. Okay? So there will be a good luck video and some tips and tricks also as to how you should start the paper up on the website very soon. Okay? And yeah, that's about it. Okay, so whenever you say you can just eyeball the question, I just get the image of you glaring at the question as if Jane. That's funny, Saima. Okay, so take care everyone. Just take it easy, okay? Send the solved paper as PDF. Okay. चलो मैं इसके लिंक में लगा देता हूँ. I'll do it right now as we speak, नहीं तो मैं भूल जाऊँगा. बिल्कुल I'll pray for all you guys. In fact अभी मगरिब होने वाली है तो चलें मगरिब की नमाज में भी मैं आपको अपनी दुआ में याद रखूँगा. आप लोगों से भी गुजारिश है to do the same. ठीक है, it would mean a lot. And yeah, so I guess that's it. Tomorrow is paper 1, and after that, inshallah, we'll begin our practice for paper 2. We'll have our mocks, inshallah, for paper 2, and we'll have plenty of streams also for paper 2. Okay? So take care, everyone. Just disconnect yourself from social media. Don't speak to friends. Don't don't debate about thresholds. Don't debate about the difficulty level of the paper. Don't debate about important topics. At this point, you're only going to make matters worse. Okay? I know that's easier said than done. आप लोगों को curiosity हो रही होगी कि चलो इससे पूछूं वो क्या कर रहा है ये क्या कर रही है. Don't do that. Okay? Just take it easy. That's my advice. Okay? So I'll stop here. वीडियो आ गई है चैनल पे. I would encourage you guys to watch it. And that's it for today. See you guys inshallah in the next one. Take care. Allah Hafiz.